For coming. Before I call the meeting to order, we have a lot of visitors with us this evening, and we're very glad that you're here. So I just want to mention a few things. At the table in the back, there is a copy of the agenda for anyone who would like it. And for those who are new to these proceedings, there's a brochure that explains what's going to happen tonight and what's expected. There will be 3 periods when the public may address the council. One is comments on resolutions, the other is comments on bills, and then the third comes at the end of the meeting, which is open public comment. The manner for addressing the council is as follows. Those wishing to speak should raise their hand and wait to be recognized. Upon recognition by the chair, the person shall proceed to the floor and give his or her name and address in an audible tone for the records. Unless further time is granted by the council, he or she shall limit his or her statements to 5 minutes. Statements should be addressed to the council as a body and not to any member thereof. And I would just like to remind all council members and anyone coming to the podium to please pull the microphone close and speak directly into it so that when folks watch the recording at home, they can hear what's going on. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk.
Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on February 8, 2019. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards and the township website.
Thank you very much. At this time, would everyone please silence or turn off your cell phones, and if you would send around the basket for the council phones, please.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Here.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Here.
Councilman Halloran.
Here.
Vice President Crate.
Here.
President Zapsik.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Would everyone please stand for a salute to the flag and a moment of silence?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the September 24th meeting?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilwoman Pontorero. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Before we move on to our presentations, Mayor Ducey, would you like the floor, please?
I think mostly everybody out there knows what happened today. Today was a sad, scary day here in Brick Township. It's my worst day as mayor so far, a mayor who's responsible for the safety and well-being of every single resident here in this town. I received a call earlier today, and that call created fear to go through my body like I've never had before. That call was that there was a shooter at Brick Memorial. As I drove to that scene, I thought, my God, the kids. My God, the police. My God, the teachers. I knew there was a school resource officer there. I know the men and women of our police department go through severe training for these types of events. I know the kids have to do these drills, these lockdowns and these REDs and code whites and all these different codes. And my son, who's 7, tells me about them. I know the police have the manpower, because we know we have the most police officers that we've had in the history of Brick. Well, I know they have the equipment. On the way there, hearing that the shooter was not in the school gave a little bit of relief. Today, there was one boy injured in his shoulder who ran back to school because that's where he knew he'd be safe. That's where everybody's there. That's where the police resource officer is. That's where the police are going to. It is totally unacceptable for a shooting to occur in our great community. especially in broad daylight, in front of kids just getting out of school or practicing football on the field. Thank you to Toms River Police Department, Lakewood Police Department, our sheriff's officers, and of course the Ocean County Prosecutor's Office, because every single man and woman who was on the road in Brick Township went to that school. Obviously needed police to cover the rest of the town. They came from all those places I just named to keep us all safe. There was car accidents that were still happening. There was that rain going on. You could hear the police officers on the radio saying, I don't know where that road is. Tell me, can you give me a little direction where that road is? Because they're coming from somewhere else. They don't know where the road is. But they were here keeping us safe, so thank you to each one of those departments. Whoever that shooter or shooters are, they have absolutely no care at all for human life. And rest assured, the great men and women of this police department and Ocean County Prosecutor's Office are working tirelessly to make sure that whoever that is pays for the terror that you gave every person in Brick, every parent in Brick, and most of all, every kid in Brick. The chief did a little bit of a question and answer over at Lanes Mill Elementary. I was there with him. When that was over, we're walking across the grass, and that's when they first let out the kids from Lanes Mill Elementary. Those kids came out crying, you know, and they were happy to see their parents. Can you imagine the terror that went through them? Whoever, whatever rock the shooter or shooters crawled out from underneath, you're going to be found. Whatever resources the police need will be provided. Our police will not rest until you are off the streets of our great town. And thank you to the men and women of our police department for keeping us safe every single day, 24 hours a day. And whoever this person is, you are scum, and you do not belong in Brick Township in our great town. So thank you.
Alrighty, we're now on to our presentations. Council Vice President Crate, would you join the mayor and I at the podium, please? So on a much happier note, a few weeks ago, Council Vice President Crate and I became aware of a young boy in Brick Township who was, took it upon himself to, actually asked his mom, and with his mom's help and help of some friends, created a fundraiser called Cast for Cancer. Daniel's mother had reached out with some questions about permits and how to go about putting it together, and I know Council Vice President Crate talked with Daniel's mother, and I talked with Daniel's mother, and they put the event together, and we're here actually to recognize Daniel for his achievement, so I turn it over to the mayor.
Daniel, you'd like to come up? All right. Every day, outstanding individuals make a difference here in Brick Township by selflessly giving their time to make our community a better and friendlier place for all. One such person is standing here before us. He's a young person. He's 11-year-old Daniel Golembuski. He is a 6th grade student at Veterans Memorial Elementary School. Since Daniel was an infant, he showed kindness towards others and naturally gravitated to those in need of support, whether holding doors open for strangers or giving hugs to those he loves. When Daniel was in Lanes Mill Elementary School, he earned the Kindness Award for buying lunch for students without enough to eat. We read about that in the news now, and Daniel was a trendsetter. During his short lifetime, Daniel has heard the word cancer too often. He lost a grandfather and watched his grandmother struggle with this awful disease. Daniel is an avid athlete, pitching on his traveling baseball team and fishing to escape the everyday stresses that young people face today. In his continuing effort of helping others while enjoying his favorite pastime, fishing, Daniel came up with the idea to host a fishing fundraiser for cancer by raising money for each fish caught by creating his Cast for Cancer campaign. Along with Daniel's teammates and help from organizations such as the Jersey Coast Shark Anglers, a fishing tournament fundraiser was held on October 6, 2019 at Mulder's Fishing Preserve in Monroe Township, complete with pink fishing line, pink bait, pink bobbers, and pink shirts. Cast for Cancer drew over 100 anglers under the age of 14 and over 250 volunteers and raised almost $17,000, and there's still donations coming in. For all these reasons, I, John G. Ducey, the Mayor of the Township of Brick in the County of Ocean and the State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim tomorrow, Wednesday, October 23rd, 2019, to be Daniel Golembiewski Day.
So Daniel, on behalf of the council, I'm pleased to present you with the certificate of commendation for your achievement. And then the last council meeting, we recognized October as Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So I'd also like to give you a copy of the resolution that we passed at the last meeting on behalf of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And thank you for your contribution and for your hard work. Thank you. Council Vice President Crate, you have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. So, school started again, so we are taking the time, as we always do each month. Sorry, to recognize the students of the month for both Brick Township High School and Brick Memorial High School. And as a parent of a student from Brick Memorial who was at the school today and after school, I appreciate your words, Mayor. And I have to be honest with you, waiting to pick up my son, and if any of you were there also, you've never seen so many tough high school boys and girls walking out into the lunchroom hugging their parents. It was really a sight, and I'm so grateful that everyone was okay and everyone made it home safely. So with that being said, we're going to take a moment to recognize the students of the month for September 1st for Brick Township High School. Those students, when I call your name, if you could please come up. For grade 9, we have Rafael Gonzalez-Trellis. For grade 10, we have Samantha Jones. Grade 11, we have James Riley. And for grade 12, we have Montserrat Carrada Ramirez. And for Brick Memorial High School, for grade 9, we have Aksh Patel and Gianna Gubitosa. For grade 10, we have Keith Collins and Rebecca So. Grade 11, we have Lucas Bierman and Paul Rodriguez. And for grade 12, we have Julia Cardi and Caitlin Salvia.
John, you look a little short. Yeah.
Mayor, you look short.
A little bit. We should be the chief then.
So Lucas is an exchange student from Germany. I just found out.
And I'll ask the mayor to join me at the podium.
In this past year, there has been 3 homicides here in Brick Township. All of them were domestic in nature. All 3 victims were in relationships with the people who were accused of committing those homicides. They were not random acts of violence. They were perpetrated by people who were closest to those victims. October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and tonight I'd like to emphasize the need to talk about domestic violence so that our children, our siblings, our friends, and our loved ones stop feeling ashamed and speak out, ask for help, and find the strength to save themselves and their children. Domestic violence can be physical or psychological, and it can affect anyone of any age, gender, race, or sexual orientation. Women are the most battered party in a relationship, though as we experienced recently here in Brick Township, men are frequently victimized as well. More than 38 million American women have been victims of domestic violence. The weapon needed to fight these statistics is empowerment. Our young people need to know what behavior is unacceptable in a relationship and how to manage it if it occurs. Victims need to know what resources are available and how to access them. And abusers need to know that society will not tolerate violence, especially in the name of love. 75% of all physical assaults against women by people who claim, are by people who claim to love them, and it goes unreported. Empowerment, education, assistance, support, and empathy are critical. We need more victims seeking help before it's too late. Now I'd like to welcome Professor Larry Jones, former judge of the Superior Court, who has a class at Monmouth University and is a professor at Monmouth University. And I would ask Professor Jones to please come forward.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you to the Mayor and the Council for having us here in recognition of Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I just want to briefly just say to Daniel, I don't know Daniel, but I was listening out in the audience. My mother died of cancer. I was listening to the work which he did, and it's spectacular work. You should really, you really earned that proclamation, that commendation there. I'm sure you're going to be a leader in the future. And as a great fisherman, I just want you to know next time you're out there, I'd like a tuna steak, perhaps. You know, you could bring one back for me. A little lemon and garlic on it. Sounds pretty good. But you're doing a fantastic job, and your whole support system there is wonderful. It's really endearing to see. I sat on the bench for several years in Ocean County as a domestic violence judge in the family court. And people would come before the court, at least twice a week I would have domestic violence day. And it was very clear that no matter what walk of life anyone came from, no matter what their background was, what their financial status was, what their cultural status was, it was essentially a melting pot. Domestic violence infected everybody. And I know there's going to be some honors paid tonight to Providence House and Dottie's House. And I can say firsthand, because I sat there from a position to see this, the work which these nonprofit organizations did to assist victims of domestic violence, to help them in their time of critical need, was unbelievable. I mean, really unbelievable. You can't imagine the emotional distress that some victims of domestic violence undergo when they're in that position. You know, Mayor Ducey talked about the unfortunate circumstance of today where violence has now infiltrated the schools. Well, domestic violence, it infiltrates the home. It infiltrates areas of privacy. It infiltrates relationships. And it's not just husbands and wives. It's dating relationships, blood relatives turning on each other. So it really is it's a plague in our society, and this is why domestic violence awareness is so critical. So I appreciate that the Mayor and the Council in Brick Township are paying homage to Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I did, in fact, after I left the bench, retired from the judiciary. I became a professor at Monmouth University. Monmouth University is one of the first universities in the country to be offering an undergraduate course studying domestic violence, specifically from a judicial standpoint, and also trying to integrate the areas of the law, psychology, advocacy, all in one, so that when students come out, some may perhaps go into the profession, and there are many professions that deal with domestic violence, not just law. It's education, psychology, social work, journalism, communications. But also, even if someone doesn't go into that line of work and they choose a different path, having personal knowledge about domestic violence, how it works, can be very empowering in the future in their own lives or in the lives of their friends, relatives, or loved ones if they find themselves in an unfortunate situation when they're confronted with domestic violence. I brought with me two of my students, not so coincidentally, two of my most vocal students in the class, who are going to have a few words to say about domestic violence from a college student standpoint. We'll start with Jessica Gonzalez, and then we'll go to Mackenzie Ricka. Jessica?
Hi, my name is Jessica Gonzalez. I am an undergraduate student at Monmouth University. I would like to start off by congratulating David, such a young person making a great impact. Okay. As most of us know, October is the month of domestic violence awareness. During this month, many groups and organizations take the time to inform the public about domestic violence as to what it is, who it affects, why it occurs, and resources victims are able to access to receive assistance and support. Organizations such as the Providence House and Doty's House are important because it provides victims of domestic violence with basic needs such as housing and food and health or treatment services that help them recover from trauma or unpleasant experience they have been through. It is a month that is important not only for victims, survivors, and activists, but for the public. An act of domestic violence can affect anyone, regardless of their age, sex, religion, and race. Thus, it is important for everyone to be informed to prevent him or her from being a victim in the future. When an individual has knowledge on the early warning signs of an abusive relationship to how to leave one, it can help him or her end a cycle of violence, and sometimes earlier. Also, spreading awareness on this issue allows the public's perception to change about domestic violence. Although it is more prevalent for women to be victims, men are also victims. Although it is more prevalent for an act of domestic violence to occur between a wife and a husband, it occurs in dating relationships as well. The Domestic Violence Awareness Month is an opportunity for groups or organizations to educate the public of the problem, the prevalence of it, and to encourage them to act to end the cycle of violence. Although it is a problem that may continue throughout the years, we can reduce the number of violence against women or men by simply spreading awareness and letting victims know that they are not alone. Thank you.
Mackenzie?
Hi everyone, my name is Mackenzie Ricca. I am also a student at Monmouth University. I'm actually a junior there and I'm studying pre-law. Once again, David, congratulations. You guys are doing an awesome job as young people. It's so great to see a community band together and just have such a strong interest in such an important cause. And it's really important to have young people like you. So I'm here today to talk about domestic violence. So domestic violence is not something that can be defined in just one way. The dictionary's definition of abuse does not encapsulate the essence of pure fear rushing through a victim's mind when they are standing face to face with their abuser. No one person has enough knowledge to illustrate the depiction of what an abusive relationship looks like, and absolutely no one can paint an exact image of an abuser to warn a victim before they step into the grim reality of an abusive relationship. Being a young adult college student in the 21st century world, surrounded by ever-growing technology, the internet, and mobile devices, domestic violence has taken a new shape to evolve to the modern era. It may start off with the simple, hey, can you share your location with me so I know where you're going? Or, can I have your password for Instagram just to be safe? And a victim may not know that these are actually major red flags for the beginning of their end. For me, this is how it started. And I would never have imagined I would be talking about what I went through here today. I stand before you not only as a survivor, but as a human being. As a 20-year-old woman with a 3.8 GPA and acceptance to study at Oxford University next year for 2 terms, and as a leader as my home university, Monmouth. And more importantly, as a voice for women like me who have just recently never had one. According to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, on average, nearly 20 women per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States. During 1 year, this equates to more than 10 million women and men. Additionally, women between the ages of 18 to 24 are more commonly abused by an intimate partner. I'm here today to tell you that these are not just numbers, they're not just statistics, these are human lives we are talking about. And I was one of those humans. I fell into those statistics. And as a young woman who has grown immensely since coming out of a 4-year abusive relationship, I promised myself I would never let anyone go through the pain I had to endure. Domestic violence is an issue that plagues millions of men, women, transgender, queer, and non-binary individuals in the United States each year. It is a topic that needs to be discussed in the United States in the form of educational curriculum, advocacy, and understanding. Since the boom of the Me Too movement in 2017, more important people have looked at this issue in a new light, and it has become something that many feel needs to be given the time of day. It is crucial to discuss the warning signs, laws, and important resources of support for domestic violence. It is important because it is a problem which has continued to plague our nation, our family members, our sisters, our cousins, our friends. By ensuring that there is always an open platform for discussion for not only the victims, but for others as well, together we can continue to break the stigma and provide hope that no one else has to go through the pain of feeling trapped in something they cannot get out of their own. I was lucky enough to survive the physical, mental, and emotional abuse I endured from a man who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. Unfortunately for some, they may not have been so lucky. This is why I will always advocate for continuing this discussion. This is why I share my story, and this is why we need to support victims in all situations. The government needs to continue to focus on laws such as VAWA, the Violence Against Women Act, and funding programs such as the National Domestic Violence Hotline. We need to show victims they have somewhere to turn when things get bad. And we need to further research and lay out to young people the warning signs of abusive relationships and highlight the differences between what is considered unhealthy and healthy partnership. By taking just little steps such as these, I hope we together as a government, a community, and more importantly as a group of good-hearted humans can prevent domestic violence from spreading and help those who have experienced it, like me, to learn to survive, thrive, and share their story to help others. Domestic violence is real. It is happening now. And we need to let everyone know that it stops here. Ladies and gentlemen, time's up. We need to continue to enforce a change. Thank you.
So in a few minutes, when we continue with our consent agenda, the council will pass a resolution recognizing October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And I had planned to read it, but I can't. I have no words better than what you just said. So, Professor, oh, there you were. Professor Jones, it's my privilege to present you with this copy of the resolution. Thank you for coming out tonight. Thank you to your students.
And if the representatives of Dottie's House and Providence House could please come forward. So we're actually going to do a little jump on the agenda because it's part of this overall Domestic Violence Awareness Month presentation. So community development block grant funds are given to us each year by the United States federal government. And we get a number of applications, and there is a committee that goes through to decide as far as the grants and the monies that each individual organization is asking for. So Dottie's House is receiving $1,500 in CDBG funds. These funds are used to offset the cost of short-term housing for victims of domestic violence who have fled a violent relationship and need a safe home and a fresh start. Providence House is receiving $10,000 in CDBG funds to provide emergency legal assistance and resource referral in Brick Municipal Court. Brick is one of the few municipal courts in New Jersey that offers services, and we are certainly the only one that offsets a portion of the costs with township CDBG funds. In 2018, Providence House staff assisted 170 victims in Brick Municipal Court. The Providence House Legal Advocacy Program is exactly what I mean by empowerment, and I'd mentioned before. In this program, legal assistance staff from Providence House is right here in this courtroom for municipal court proceedings. They're not a phone call away, and they're not, they are here in municipal court, and they are providing advice, moral support, education on the legal ways to protect yourself and your family if you're a victim of domestic violence. In Brick Township, when a victim stands before a judge asking for protection, she or he is not alone. They have Providence House staff standing with them, helping them find their voice and say enough. So I'm proud to present the $10,000 check to Providence House. Dottie's House provides a critical lifeline in terms of housing when victims flee from abusive relations and homes filled with violence. Their traditional housing program is the gateway to a safe home and supports that provide the pathway to a new life free of abuse and violence. Many victims leave violent relationships with nothing more than the clothes on their backs. Dottie's House gives them shelter and a chance to start anew. They give them the tools they need, like furniture, clothes, food, school supplies, daycare, and therapy to stop the cycle of violence once and for all. So I'd like to present Dottie's House with their CDBG amount of $1,500.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Karen. I'm the case manager at Dottie's House. I've been there for 15 and a half years. And I don't know if any of you know that Carol Wolf, who was a very big part of the Brick community, started Dottie's House in 1999. And part of why she started Dottie's House is after victims leave programs like Providence House, we have families coming not only from Ocean County, but from all over the United States. And the reason she started it is when a woman leaves with her children, and after 2 months or 6 weeks of being at Providence House, where is she supposed to go? So she created Dottie's House. We have 17 apartments where the families get to spend 2 years rebuilding their lives. As the mayor said, we have therapy for both mom and children. We also have art therapy, individual therapy, domestic violence group where they get to talk about some of their experience. And so this program was started with the idea of helping a woman not only to heal from domestic violence, but also to become self-sufficient. We can't do it without all of the amazing support that we've had over the years from the community. All the furniture, everything that's donated, the funds is from the wonderful work that you guys do in the community to help Dottie's House to continue. And I just have to say we've had so many graduates who left the program and have become self-sufficient. Some have gone to college, purchased homes. So Carol's vision was amazing. And as I said, I thank the community for continuing to support the program. And kudos to you for being one of those people who have survived it. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Carol Penn, and I'm the Outreach Program Supervisor for Providence House here in Ocean County. Thank you for your continued support of our programming here, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with everyone this evening. Providence House of Catholic Charities is the lead domestic violence agency in Ocean County and provides life-saving services to victims of domestic violence here in our community. Just last year, we served over 2,000 individuals in Ocean County, providing almost 8,000 hours of direct service. Providence House offers a variety of services to include a 24-hour hotline and a safe house program for victims in need of emergency shelter placement. In 2018, we provided over 7,000 nights of shelter to victims via our safe house program. Individuals who are not in need of emergency shelter are served through our outreach program, where we provide individual and group domestic violence counseling services with an emphasis on domestic violence education, support, and safety planning. Providence House also offers a PALS program, which is an intensive 6-month creative arts therapy program for children who've witnessed domestic violence. Providence House also employs 2 full-time legal advocates who are present in the Ocean County Superior Court 5 days a week. Their role is to provide support, legal options counseling, and education on the Prevention of Domestic Violence Act to victim plaintiffs. Our staff assists program participants with completing applications for temporary restraining orders and helps them understand how to present their cases within the courtroom. Staff work with victims to develop safety plans and provide court accompaniments whenever possible. While Providence House staff are not attorneys and therefore cannot provide legal advice or representation per se, their presence in the courtroom can be vital for victims going through the restraining order process, as it can be terribly intimidating to face their abuser in court, especially when one is serving as his or her own attorney. For the past 20 years, with the support of continued funding from the Brick CDBG, Providence House has also been providing legal advocacy services within the Brick Municipal Court, as Mayor Ducey mentioned. Program staff attends municipal court 4 times each month, 2 mornings and 2 evenings. And the services provided to victims are very similar to those provided in Superior Court, but here in the municipal court, our legal advocates also interview the defendants, and recommendations are made to the prosecutor regarding domestic violence counseling or batterers intervention programming for the defendants. Program participants are also provided help in understanding the difference between the municipal and the Superior Court processes, as some are not familiar with either. At Providence House, all of our services are provided free of charge and can be accessed through our hotline, which is staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Domestic violence advocates are available to provide supportive listening and referrals and are prepared to screen victims who may be seeking domestic violence services. At Providence House, we recognize the courage that it takes for someone to look at their relationship with open eyes, see the abuse that is happening, reach out for help, and consider the idea of leaving. We understand that every individual's journey is different, and their journey from victim to survivor, and we strive to meet each survivor where they are and provide the support they need as they proceed on their individual journey, all the while reminding them that freedom from abuse and healing are absolutely possible. Thank you very much.
Next up on the agenda, keeping it going, is the CDBG grants for other social service agencies. Social service agencies play an essential role. They provide basic needs to our residents and do so with caring and compassion. Each year, the township receives CDBG funds to use specifically for social service projects. We award those funds via grants to agencies and programs that are here in Brick Township serving our residents. We received more than $125,000 in requests, and we have $44,400 in funds to award. I appreciate the hard work for all of the organizations that applied. I will be calling up a representative from each organization to receive their check. If your name is not called and you're here representing an organization, please come up for the check presentation. I'm going to call you up one at a time to present you with each grant award check. And I want to remind anybody who's out there in the audience here or at home, watching on TV or YouTube, pretty much all of these organizations are looking for volunteers to help out in person or donations as well. If you can help out financially. They don't survive without donations and without help. So they will tell you what they need and what services they provide, and that's why we give them this opportunity. And hopefully anybody whose students are out there looking for volunteer hours or just people who have extra time are lucky enough to be able to give back to their community. These are some great organizations. Choose any one of them or all of them. First, I would like to call up Pastor Retta Jackson from True Vine Community Services, which is receiving $1,500 for its Continuum of Care program initiatives that are focused on abused women, prisoner reentry, and combating juvenile delinquency through counseling, training, mentoring, guidance, and education.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank the mayor and everyone here on tonight on the panel, and I'd like to congratulate all of the previous recipients. True Vine Community Services, I founded about 2 years ago, and I currently direct it. We serve the addicted and the mentally ill community. And after hearing the news, Mayor, that you announced tonight, now I know why it's so very important for us to continue counseling and educating and providing case management for this population so that we can stop things like what happened today. And so even though it's a very tedious journey, I am inspired on tonight to continue to do just that, to educate and counsel this population with the hopes of making them productive members of society. I stand here tonight not only a pastor, but a pastor that believes in partnering with the city officials and bettering the community, but I also stand here a person who has been previously addicted to drugs and alcohol with over 20 years clean, thanks to the support of my community. And so on today, it's important for us to understand how important it is for the community to unite together and serve those who are less fortunate, again, to prevent incidents like what happened today. Thank you so very much for supporting our nonprofit organization, and again, let's continue to work together to better our communities.
Next, I'd like to call up Patricia Nolan from the ARC, who is receiving $1,500 for its transition services program that allows high school-aged children with intellectual and developmental disabilities to participate in a series of coordinated activities designed to promote the daily living and skills necessary to secure and maintain competitive employment opportunities.
I'd also like to thank Mayor Ducey and the Brick Township Council for this award tonight for the grant. Congratulations to all the other recipients. The ARC Ocean County Chapter is a nonprofit organization that provides supports to individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The ARC Ocean County Chapter was started in 1955, and in 1980 we opened our first group home. And now in 2019, we have over 33 group homes and supervised apartments in Ocean County. Today, we provide supports to approximately 1,500 individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities and their families who live in Ocean County. We help our individuals to continue to improve the quality of their life. The ARC also has over 500 employees that help the individuals, again, throughout Ocean County. We, the ARC Ocean County Chapter, have 3 main divisions, and like the mayor said, we are always looking for volunteers. We have a residential division, as I mentioned, over 33 group homes and supervised apartments. We also have a family support services division, which allows for respite care. That is allowing families of our individuals to get a break with offering services for overnight or weekend care. We have support coordination, where we assisted over 230 families in Monmouth and Atlantic counties in navigating the appropriate path for their family members with disabilities. We also have a very active recreation department. We have over 350 individuals who participate in dances, bowling leagues, both in Northern Ocean and Southern Ocean County. We also offer cooking classes, community trips, and much, much more. The third division we have is our Vocational Services Division, which is near and dear to my heart because that's where I work. Our Vocational Services Department has a few different aspects. We provide opportunities to over 400 individuals to find, as the mayor had mentioned, productive employment. We help to increase self-esteem and self-sufficiency and provide valuable resources for the communities by adding some of our individuals to the workforce here in Ocean County. We also provide choices in job training, employment opportunities, transition services, meaning when individuals move from high school into postgraduate, whether they're getting a job in the community or they're coming to work in one of our adult training centers. We also provide transportation. You probably have seen many of our vans driving all over Ocean County. We have a fleet of over 40 vans. Also, we have what's called adult training centers. These are day programs that meet Monday through Friday, where we provide training and day habilitation in both Brick, Lakehurst, Toms River, and Tuckerton. The ratio there is 1 staff person to 6 individuals, so the individuals we work with can really get some good one-on-one attention. If you didn't know, we have a sweet shop. It comes out of our Journeys and Discovery program, which is located in Brick off Maniloking Road. The individuals, along with a staff person, they create custom chocolate candies. They're delicious. I would highly recommend them. We sell them year-round and on our arcocean.org website. We also have, where I'm employed, I work at what's called the ARC Employment Center. We call it the AEC. This is our only paying day program where our individuals are earning a biweekly paycheck. They come and work with us every day, and we provide supported group employment to clients to maximize potential and teach appropriate work skills and behaviors, learning how to work in a work environment. Local companies in Ocean County hire the AEC to complete many tasks, such as assembly, sorting, labeling, packaging, folding, stuffing, and much more. We also sell wood products made in our wood workshop at the Employment Center, which is located in Lakewood. Anybody who's interested, male, female, we train them on our wood lathes. They make beautiful products. We sell wine stoppers, wooden pen and pencil sets, letter openers, keychains. Again, we sell them on our website. If you're interested, I would be happy to tell you more about that. We also have a commercial cleaning business. So at the Employment Center, we have individuals that are trained to work with, with cleaning skills. We work in office buildings. We work in businesses all over Ocean County and a couple in Monmouth County. As you may or may not know, maybe you've seen us on some of the Brick Park trails. Our cleaning service cleans 4 Brick Park trails. We also clean outside the Department of Public Works around the facility there. And we also clean at the Traders Cove Marina. So you might see some ARC individuals with our crew chiefs who are instructing and teaching them cleaning skills as we go. Lastly, we have a very active supported employment division, which is also part of our vocational program. We offer employment supports, which means our individuals work in the community one-on-one with an ARC staff guiding them. And we also have something called trial work experience, where individuals get to go into the community, try out a whole bunch of different jobs. So if you have a business or you know somebody with a business and they want to be one of our trial work experience, please see me. And lastly, just so you know, this is just some of what we do at the ARC Ocean County chapter. I would be happy to give you more information if you'd like it. And again, thank you for awarding the ARC Ocean County chapter with the Township of Brick Community Development Block Grant. We are very grateful and happy to work with the Township of Brick. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to call up Howard Hirsch from Caregiver Volunteers of Central Jersey, who is receiving $4,000 for its transportation program, where volunteers provide door-to-door transportation to physician appointments, chemotherapy, physical therapy, lab work, and any appointments which are medical in nature, as well as grocery shopping.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to be here among such amazing organizations and young people. I'd like to thank the Township of Brick, Mr. Mayor, Council, and the committee for choosing caregivers for this grant. It's 26 years now that Caregivers is serving the community in Ocean County and the last 3 years in Monmouth County. And among the many services, this is a 501c3 nonprofit interfaith organization that provides over 1,200 volunteers that go out to people's homes who are over 60 and don't drive anymore. We take them on medical transport, grocery shopping. We also have a groundbreaking 10th anniversary of our caregiver canine program. We provide therapy dogs, people who cannot have pets anymore. We have an Alzheimer's respite care program that's an award-winning program, along with a Connection Through Music program that is making amazing strides with memory, with dementia patients and Alzheimer's patients through the songs that they remember from their childhood. So amazing amount of services done by absolutely free by volunteers. And again, it's a privilege to serve the community of Brick for all these years. And again, we thank you for this award tonight. It's going to go to helping a lot of people. Thank you.
Next is Tom Franken from Church of Epiphany St. Vincent de Paul Society, who is receiving $1,500 to continue to provide temporary financial assistance to Brick Township residents in dire financial need to meet basic needs for things like utility bills as well as rent.
Thank you. It seems to me there's been a lot of professional speakers tonight. I am not one of them. But I did want to thank the mayor and anyone else who had anything to do with getting us this reward. As the mayor said, our society gives Brick residents temporary help to pay utility bills or rent. We also, before they become homeless or shut off. We also put homeless families up for a week in hotels, and they leave with a list of places that they can get help around the county, such as food pantries. There's nothing like seeing their faces when they get this help. It makes it very rewarding for the 10 of us who work very hard at this, and we can't do that without grants such as this, so thanks again.
Just don't go through the drive-thru. Next is Marilyn Lago from Church of the Visitation Soup Kitchen, who is receiving $3,900 to help fund the Visitation Church Community Lunch Program.
I'd just like to thank everyone that had anything to do with giving us this money, getting it to us to help the community. 11 years ago when we started this, I was just one little figure that went to a group meeting to see what this was all about. And they called it the Soup Kitchen. But as we sat around talking about what we wanted to do for this place, Visitation Church, we decided we didn't want to use that name, so we came up with the Community Lunch of Visitation. And even though the first day that we had to open up our soup kitchen or community lunch, we had 8 people, fast forward 11 years and now we're serving over 100. Now we have this every single Wednesday, but it didn't start out that way. We only had the 3rd Wednesday of every month because that's when the room was open in our parish. So we took it. Why not start small and then see where it goes? So as the time went on, the other Wednesdays opened up, so we said, all right, we'll take it and we'll just continue. But it's with the volunteers that we have, the parishioners in our church, and you people in the community that keeps us going. We have expanded to a little library where people could come get books to take home and read and bring back. We celebrate birthdays, anniversaries. We give little trinkets out for Christmas, and we just have a really, really good time. I am the kitchen supervisor, and just put me in front of food and I'll go to town because I love it. And I thank everyone before me and after me who are going to be rewarded with other grants, because all of us are really doing a great job thanks to you and these people up here. Thank you.
Jim Sigurdsson from Community Services, which is also better known as Meals on Wheels, who is receiving $7,000 as part of their hard work to deliver hot, healthy meals to our seniors.
Definitely, I would like to thank the mayor, Mayor Ducey, and the Brick Township Council, but also the citizens of Brick. You know, I'm a little bit under the weather. I apologize. I won't be brief, though. You know, this is the 20th year that I've been doing this. Our organization started providing services in Ocean County 46 years ago. So I've been privileged for 20 years, and Pastor, you said it, to be a part of a partnership that Mayor Ducey and the Brick Township Council and the residents of Brick Township have continued. And the CareNet of services that they have continued to support and provide for the residents of this township should make this township proud. These people talk the talk, they walk the walk, and they pay out. They provide the funding to make sure that these programs and services provide the services that the residents of this township need. We provide over 250,000 meals in this county every single year and spend about $3.8 million doing it. I have 52 employees, 32 vehicles, 7 congregate feeding sites, and a lot of people that work very hard to make this program work every single day. But what makes it work is partnership. What makes it work is knowing that there are people who stand behind you. They're going to make sure that you succeed. And all of these people in this room have stood behind our program in this township for a very long time, for decades, to make sure that the seniors had a place to go at a congregate site at the VFW in Brick to have a hot, nutritious meal. That had transportation. You know, Brick Township provides that transportation, saves our organization about $70,000 a year. And with the money that this township saves us, we feed more people. And we go into the homes of homebound seniors who cannot prepare or cook their own food and have nobody to provide that meal for them. And we provide that meal for them, and we also provide a safety and assurance check to make sure that those individuals are okay. And we're often that first line to intervene, to get help into the home when we notice that they need assistance. We save lives every single day, but we do it because of the partnership that we have and we have had with this mayor and with this township and with this council for a very, very long time. So in 2018, I'll be brief now, what did we do in Brick? We provided over 33,000 meals to 322 senior residents at a cost of $396,000. And we did it because of the partnership that we have. And we thank you again, Mayor Ducey, Town Council, for your support, and the residents of Bricktown. You should be very, very proud of your mayor and your town council because they work hard for you. Thank you.
Next up is Pastor Lenwood Fraser Jr. from Faith Fellowship Outreach Ministries, who is receiving $1,500 for its homeless relief initiative that provides respite from the elements, including warming and cooling centers, hot meals, and mobile meals.
Good evening, everybody. First and foremost, I would like to thank the mayor and everybody out here who made a decision to give us this money. As a pastor, you don't have to forgive me because I like to use the word God. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, because as a pastor, and I just like to thank God because, you know, just like Pastor said, I was in the streets, I was homeless, I was drug bound, and I stand here before you today, 25 years clean, because of my higher power. And God has set me up to go back to the streets and give to the less fortunate. Okay, and a lot of times we look past those people in the streets, but he sent me back out there to help them. So as we go out and we feed people, I give a chance to tell them my life. A lot of people know me, and they've seen what he did for me. As he did for me, he also can do for them. So like I said, our Faith Fellowship would like to thank you for this money. It's going to go a very long way. What's little to people, it's a lot to God. And we just want to thank you from the sincerity of our hearts. Thank you.
Next is Ann Janes from Interfaith Hospitality Network, who is receiving $3,750 towards continuing efforts to provide support for homeless families with children.
On behalf of the Interfaith Hospitality Group, I'm accepting this check for them, and with great honor and thanks to the mayor and the council for giving them this donation. We appreciate it very much.
Next up is Jim Gillick from Jersey Shore Boy Scouts, Jersey Shore Council Boy Scouts, who is receiving $1,500 towards scholarships for scouts from Brick Township to attend summer camps.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you to the council. We're sincerely grateful for the support. As you mentioned, the funds that we're using through the Community Development Block Grant are going directly to children in the city of Brick to help them with things like summer camp scholarships, uniforms, program supplies for those families in need. You know, as I'm standing here and I'm listening to all the great services that are provided by some of these organizations that are receiving funding this evening, whether they be beds and meals or services. I'm trying to think of, geez, how does a program that kind of revolves around campfires and pocket knives, you know, match up to that? And what I kept coming back to is, of course, it's not really a program about pocket knives and campfires. Scouting really is about developing leadership skills, character education, and developing a sense of participating citizenship and positive achievement in young people. We've been proud to do that for over 110 years now, and we look forward to continuing here in Brick with all your support. So, Mayor, thank you.
Next is John Piskel. Please make your way forward, of Ocean's Harbor House, which is receiving $3,750 to continue to provide services to youth in need, including shelter, food, and support services.
I didn't know if I was going to make it tonight. I didn't know if they were having a meeting tonight after the events of today. And I know a lot of the, we work with a lot of the police in Ocean County. And I was feeling pretty down when this meeting started, but after seeing these young people raising money for cancer and the students from Monmouth and all the individual people and the courage of the mayor and the members of the council, I'm glad I came, and I'm glad you had the meeting. You know, we're going to keep fighting on, and it restores my faith in humanity. On behalf of the approximately 120 to 140 youth between the ages of 10 and 21 that we serve and house each year, average age about 16. We had 10 youth go to the prom this year, and we had 10 youth graduate with their classes from high school. Of those 10, 8 went to college. We packed them up and drove them out to their schools and unpacked them. And you may wonder what's driving these number of kids, 120 to 140 kids each year. It's the opioids. It's the opioids. Parents are incapable of taking care of their children. They become neglected, abused, and working closely with the police and the sheriff and the police departments throughout Brick and the schools, not to mention the schools. We do the best we can to provide them with support. They always told me never single out anybody on the city council, but I have to single out somebody. It's very wonderful to see Mariana Ponterero, always. She's a true champion of Ocean's Harbor House, so my apologies to the rest of the council members. I know you're not going to mind. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Is there anybody here from Contact of Ocean and Monmouth counties? They are receiving $1,500 for its 24-hour crisis hotline that received 3,297 calls requesting housing or shelter in 2018. 1,904 of those calls were from individuals or families homeless at the time of the call. Anyone here from Solutions to End Poverty? STEPS. They are receiving $1,500 for homeless prevention and tenant advocacy, including assisting Brick Township residents with landlord-tenant matters and outreach for seniors with housing issues. And that concludes our CDBG awards, and each one of these organizations does a great thing, and you have to think yourselves, as a human being, what great things they do, but as a taxpayer, how much money each of these organizations saves the town from not having to provide the services, but even more for that, for the people who are going through the services that do not need other types of services, other types of expenses that would be put on the town or on the state or on the country in general. So the work that every single organization does is just hard work that pays off on a very, very local level, but it just triples out from there and becomes a national issue, and each one of these organizations deserve a big thank you, and anybody who could help them by way of volunteer hours or by way of financial donations, please, you can reach out to me by way of email or phone call, and I can give you the contact information for any or all of these organizations you're wishing to volunteer for or donate to. So, thank you.
Okay, we are now on to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Resolution 4-1.
Recognize Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October.
Thank you. Vice President Crate.
Thank you. This resolution recognizes October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Domestic violence impacts millions of people each year, but it can be prevented with collective voice and power of individuals, families, institutions, and systems, each contributing a valuable and powerful component to creating a public dialogue that gets past the shame associated with domestic violence, instead helping victims find the strength to ask for help.
Thank you. Resolution 4-2.
Authorize award of bid roadway improvements to Herbertsville.
Thank you. Mayor?
Sorry, haven't been here yet tonight. Thank you. This authorizes the award of bid for those roadway improvements up in Herbertsville. These are the ones that were halfway done by the New Jersey Natural Gas. The resolution authorizes award of bid to MECO Incorporated of Clarksburg, New Jersey, in the amount of $513,707.80 for roadway resurfacing in the Herbertsville section. There were bid notices that were sent to 66 different contractors. 9 of them received packages and asked for the actual packages. 5 of those submitted bids that ranged all the way from the low bid, which I just mentioned, of $513,707.80, all the way up to the highest bid, which was $821,868. The project consists of mill and overlay of the remaining half width of the following roadways from Herbertsville Drive to Riviera Drive. It's 20th Avenue, 19th Avenue, 18th, 17th, 16th Avenues, Walnut Drive, Lindbergh Drive, Branch Drive, Main Avenue, and Riviera Drive. In order to complete the roads in this neighborhood, this project also includes mill and overlay. So this is to complete the entire neighborhood. So it also includes mill and overlay of 21st Avenue, 22nd Avenue from Herbertsville to Walnut, Main Avenue, and Riverside Drive North from Riviera Drive to Main Avenue. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 4-3.
Authorize execution of NJDOT cost-sharing traffic signal agreement, Route 88 and Van Zyl Road.
Thank you. Mayor.
Thank you. This resolution is for that long-awaited. If anybody ever tries to go from here on Route 88 and make a left-hand turn to go to St. Dominic's or to McDonald's or to get out to Route 70, and you get your one car through, this is the traffic light left-hand turn that was promised to us in 2015 by then living Department of Transportation Commissioner Jamie Foxx. and this is one of the final steps in actually seeing this project come to fruition. This resolution authorizes the execution of a cost-sharing traffic signal agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation. The township requested the NJDOT modify the existing traffic signal at the intersection of Route 88 and Van Zyl Road to include a left turn arrow for the westbound approach of Route 88 onto northbound Van Zyl Road. The state and county have reviewed the request and have agreed with the request for the left turn arrow. In this agreement, the township will assume 25% of the total cost, with the state funding the remaining 75%. The county agrees to maintain and replace any infrastructure within their jurisdiction and to pay for all costs for the future relocation or removal and reinstallation of any portion of this traffic signal system. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 4-4.
Authorize execution of shared services agreement with BT MUA for sign shop services.
Thank you. Councilman Mumolo, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Brick Township Municipal Utility Authorities have requested the Township consider a shared service agreement for sign shop services. There was an agreement in place previously and both parties found it mutually beneficial. The agreement shall expire December 31st, 2020, but will automatically renew itself on an annual basis unless either party therefore provides written notice and non-renewal to either party 60 days in advance of the automatic renewal. In the agreement, the authority will reimburse the township in full for any and all expenses incurred for utilization of the sign shop services and any administrative or clerical staff utilized for the authority's business currently employed by the township. It is anticipated that the authority will utilize these services on an as-needed basis. In addition, the authority shall reimburse the township for sign shop services at a rate of the township employee's current annual salary plus 15%, exclusive of parts and material. Parts and material will be billed at cost. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 4-5.
Authorize placement of tax liens for property cleanups.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the placement of tax liens at 244 Katie Lynn Court in the amount of $404.21 and 1666 Route 88 in the amount of $167.87. We've received the reports from the code enforcement officials. This is one commercial property and one residential property, and both are vacant. Resolution 4-6. Tax Collector, Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. 6A is 100% DAV refund and cancel taxes at Block 329.09, Lot 7, in the amount of $1,072.67. 6B is 100% DAV refund and cancel taxes for Block 788.01, Lot 7, in the amount of $4,910.69. 6C is 100% DAV refund and cancel taxes for Block 1349.25, Lot 17, in the amount of $2,482.84. 6D is tax overpayments for the year 2018 at Block 1314, Lot 4, in the amount of $1,670.67.
Thank you. That ends the consent agenda. May I have a motion and a second?
Motion. Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilwoman Pontorero. Open to council for questions or comments on the resolutions.
I have a couple
Yes,
questions
Councilman
here.
Bosman.
4-3, I noticed they're doing construction at that corner. Usually when, I think they're putting in a gas station there? Or what are they putting in Route 88? They're putting in some kind of building. They always start the construction.
There's an abandoned gas station that they're going to turn at some point into a Hershey's ice cream, but I don't think they started anything on there, on that yet. I know of.
Route 88 in Van Zyl. That's what this says. So.
Yep, isn't that what I said?
Morris is building there, right?
Isn't that
No.
Jack Martin?
That's
Jack Martin.
88 in Van Zyl is, if you're familiar with it, if you have to go further east on Route 88, and then you come to a traffic light
Yeah.
where St. Dominic's is on your left. There's an abandoned gas station, which hopefully will be a Hershey's ice cream at some point. And then the back of a bank that's on Van Zyl. If you know where that is?
I thought it was over there by, right up Van Zyl and 88. That's where the ice cream, where the chocolate place is, right across the street, no?
That's
No,
Jack
that's
Martin.
totally different. Totally different street. You're lost.
And also on the shared service, when I was commissioner on there, we did the shared service back then. And also, we did a shared service with the MUA. We did electrical shared service back in the day when I was there.
I just want to bring that up, so I'm glad it's continuing. Thank you.
Anyone else from council on the resolutions? Seeing none, close councils. Open to public for comments on the resolutions. Yes, Mr. Foster.
Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. First, I want to, actually the only comment I have is about the resolution number 1. I do thank the council and the mayor for, everybody for putting that on the agenda and for the recognition. I had 2 aunts that were victims of domestic violence. One was her husband married into the family, the other was my uncle, unfortunately. And no, this was when I was like a kid, so I remember getting calls 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. My mother would get calls or from my aunts, one or the others, saying that they were, you know, so-and-so was beating them. And one husband actually was a gang member, and he used to follow his wife all over the town, Brick Township, and he'd put bullet holes through the door, so she was constantly being evicted from a residence. So this is very good, and the support of the agencies in town that do help battered women. I'm very glad to hear that, because this is a subject that I do have, unfortunately, experience with. So I thank you for that. I do have a question. I want to know, what policy does Brick Township have regarding this subject, like if a township employee or a member of the council or administration in general is a perpetrator of domestic violence? What is the policy? Are they automatically fired? Do they have to go? Does it have to be handled through the court system with a conviction on the person? Because that's a question I'd like to know, Mr. Starkey, Mayor, you, Council President Zapsik, what the policy is. I think this is important for the people to, know about this. Could anybody give an answer to that?
Mr. Starkey? Or Mrs. Bergen?
Well, I'll handle the first portion of that, which is if we have an employee who is going through any kind of...
Could you speak into the microphone? We can't
Oh,
hear.
certainly. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
The first part is what we offer if we have an employee that is going through any sort of personal crisis at home, outside of work, which might be domestic violence, it might be the loss of a child, it might be problems with
Well, that's the
family
victim, but I'm
lives.
just talking about the perpetrator of domestic, someone who assaults their wife. If they're a township employee or a member of the Ducey administration, regardless if they're an appointee or elected official, what is the policy of the township regarding that person that is the perpetrator of that criminal activity? Do you fire the person, or if it's a member of the administration that Mayor Ducey may have appointed, does he fire them? Does a township employee, I know township employees are governed under a contract. Is there anything in their contract that township employees have with the Township of Brick stating that they will be fired if there's an accusation? Because I know some companies, I'm 58 years old, I've worked for a lot of different companies over the years, and some companies have a policy, even if they get a call from their wife, or in the case of a husband beating their wife, that their employee is gone. That's it, they're fired. They have a very strict policy about that. What is Brick Township's policy if someone is, regardless of whether it's an employee who's been here for years and covered under employment contract, an appointee of the mayor, a member of the government?
I understand. There is no difference between an employee of the township and any other person in Brick Township. If they commit a criminal act, that is handled by the police. It's handled through the courts, and that's dealt with appropriately in accordance with the law on that.
Is the employee fired, or does it have to be a conviction in the court of it?
There are rules and regulations in our personnel handbook, and frankly, I can't answer a blanket question like that.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I apologize. I'm not trying to put you on the spot. I apologize. Like I said, it's a very important situation for me, because I did have the 2 aunts that were the victim of it, and so that's one thing. And I told you about my personal experience, but this is, like I said, I do thank all of you for this, because this is an important issue, and I think that if any member of the administration, council members would, if they had any personal experiences on the subject of domestic violence, that if they could share their personal experiences, that would be, not without being intimate or anything like that. I mean, privacy, if you don't, but if, it's just an important issue, and I do thank you, and it's something that I think that the public has the right to know what our town's policy is, and if it could be clarified better, so that there is a situation whereby if someone is a wife beater, that they are immediately fired or removed. Like I said, you don't know what the policy is in the handbook or the employee contract, but that's something that I think we should, the township should look into, is having a strict policy like the private companies. That was not a union company that I worked for that had that policy. There was no tolerance for violence of that type at all. So thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from public on the resolutions? 5 minutes. This public comment period is for the resolutions only. I'm sorry? General comments are at the end of the meeting. Okay. Anyone else on the resolutions? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosler.
Yes.
Councilwoman Ponderero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Computer bill resolution in the amount of $723,948.21.
Thank you. May I have a motion and a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mumolo, second by Councilman Fosman. Open to council for questions.
I have a couple.
Yes, Councilman Fosman.
Page 17, maybe the attorney can answer this, Kevin. Grace and Associates there. Can you see that, Kevin?
Grace Navarro.
Yeah. It says, the last one, it says GS and AR appeal. Do you know what that is? I appreciate that. Is that a personal tax appeal you're saying? Or is it business you don't know?
I don't know what it is. I'll look into it and let you know.
Okay, page 26. Scotland and Bauman. It's $912. It's for the Food Town redevelopment. That money that goes up for the Food Town from here, are they going to reimburse us for that? Or is that our cost on top of that?
We get reimbursement for our professional fees spent on the redevelopment site.
Thank you. Page 38. Standard alternative, the solar production, $66,000 this month. It's a little less than, I think last month was $88,000. That's a lot of money we're paying for overpriced electric on that. That's way above standard costs. And also, you have another, it says tax appeal matters for Starkey, Kelly, and Keneally. You don't know which one that is either, right? You know?
No, that's for, we handle generally tax appeals for the township. So that's for our representation of the township for appeals that are filed against the township. And I have to correct myself. I went back and looked at the Grace Memorial bill, which said appeal. They are our, Grace Memorial is the law firm that serves as our municipal prosecutor. I think it's likely that one of the municipal court cases probably got appealed to Superior Court, which a defendant has a right to do. And that's probably their appearance in Superior Court in defense of the township on that appeal.
Okay, and on the tax appeal matters for your office, it was $726. Is that a standard fee for just one?
No, that's we handle. There are a number of tax appeals.
So $726 is just one tax appeal, or is that
no?
Two?
That's have to get the bill. But that's we'll go out to. For example, we'll go to court if it's in the state court or in the county, and there might be 3, 5, 10 appeals on at a time. I don't know how many we're on for this particular bill, but I can find that out for you and let you know.
Thank you. And page 40, Tri-State Commercial Pressure Washing. They washed garbage trucks down. I see it was $3,077 this month. That's why I was pushing for a truck wash down at DPW, because paying this much money out all the time, I think it was about $88,000 a year just to wash the trucks. we could buy a state-of-the-art one for about $500,000. And that will get all the salt off the trucks whenever we need it. When the guys have to work on it, after they went to the dumps with all the garbage and all the germs in there, they can wash the truck down before they work on it. And that's what we really need here. And I see they did put that on to the DPW minutes. They had a meeting, and I see they're already going out for that, thank God. I've been asking for that for years. That's all I have, thank you.
Anyone else from council on the bills? Seeing none, close council. Open to public on the bill resolutions. Mr. Foster?
Quick question, Sam Foster, 102 Eagle Drive. I just want to follow up on what Councilman Fossman said about the truck wash. Years ago, I used to work at the Public Works Department as a summer employee. And when I was there, so SEEP, I think it was, I've got the name, it's like 40, God. Oh, I don't want to think of it. Makes me feel old, remembering how long ago it was. But they used to wash out the trucks with the garden hose. That's pretty much what you're talking about. I know this is power washing now, but the employees of the Public Works Department used to wash out the trucks, the garbage trucks specifically, because I was one of the people that had to do it. I remember that very well. So why isn't that being done now with township employees, just with a power washer or whatever? I mean, it's
the company that does it, I was down there, and they didn't even they're supposed to put out like a bath to collect the water and all the grease and everything and draw that water back.
Yeah.
Last year it was, I go down there and they're just dumping it right on the ground. So that's the problem when you have an outside contractor and no one's watching them.
Back in my day, I hate to use that phrase.
Lakewood had a beautiful one. I went viewed that, and I tried to get a
because I'm just wondering why we don't
service with them.
I'm just wondering why the employees don't do it themselves there, because they did back in the 1980, I think it was.
Babson, can I answer that? Surely. Go ahead, Ms. Burke.
Would you like to, Councilor? It's your committee.
Environmental laws?
Yes, essentially
the
yes,
runoff,
because we have to collect the runoff.
Yeah,
and
I had to do it myself. I remember I
Exactly.
I was in the dumpster thing. Believe me, it's disgusting. You don't want to, God almighty. I don't even think about those days, but it would just run off, and then it just use a squeegee and squeegee out, and we'd squeegee out the back of the building. I don't know if it's like now, but I remember that. So environmental laws, okay.
Yes.
And this proposal, this truck that Councilman Fosman is proposing, what does it do? It has like an enclosed bed that they drive the truck into?
Drive the truck in. There's 2 power washers on the sides. They could get and all this stuff is collected and filtered, and they can get the top of the truck. Right now, they're getting about 6 foot up on the trucks, and that's it. There's nothing else is done on the trucks up top.
Yeah, because I remember that very well when I was there at the Public Works Department.
If they wash the motor down, that's an extra fee. Right now, it's $28 to wash a truck, approximately, but it's another $25 just to wash the engine down. So if the mechanic's going to work on the engine, they're going to wash that down. You're talking about I believe it's $56 a truck.
Okay.
And we've got quite a few trucks.
Well, I have another question. Has the Public Works Department department head or anybody in town looked into just buying a commercial power washer? I mean, I did it with the garden hose. I mean, and a little hand thing.
Grease, you're not collecting.
But see, that's just what I was going to say was, has anybody checked into doing it ourselves simply by having some kind of I don't know how much it would cost to buy I think it's called a skirt thing or something, or build a device, anything like driving it over into like a receptacle and just do it ourselves at a cost of, I mean, I have a hand washer at home, does a perfectly fine job with my siding and driveway, and that only cost me $100, and the garbage truck itself, it's I don't see why it would be it couldn't work on a garbage truck and then just spend maybe $500 or $1,000 rather than $8,000 or whatever, and drive a truck into a receptacle. Or build a concrete. Let's just lay out some concrete. I used to work in construction. I built all sorts of things in my construction labor days, and you could just drive a truck into a concrete basin, have a drain in the bottom that drains into a maybe removable thing, and power wash it down. And what would that cost? Maybe less than $1,000. The power washer itself cost me $80 at Home Depot. I mean,
we got a lot of trucks.
Yeah, I know, but still.
When you go to Lakewood, if they drive a garbage truck through their wash, it takes 4 minutes. for that truck to go through.
Okay, but I'm just suggesting it, for this taxpayer. I mean, and I'm always talking about savings, and
And
this is
the
just.
water's recycled. So you're saving there.
I just thought that'd be something I'd just put out there. Maybe just check into it, see how much it'll cost, and in order to comply with environmental regulations. I don't know. Who does the township contact for environmental issues, by the way? Do we have an actual department head that is in charge of making sure that the township complies with environmental issues? Is that something that Mr. Starkey would do, or Ms. Bergen?
We have an environmental commission. They met this evening. We could certainly put you in touch with the liaison for that if you'd like, Mr. Clark.
I mean, heck, I used to do it. We used to climb in the pout, gave me the hose, and wash it down. And like I said, it did end up on the ground, and we had to squeegee it out, but still build something and see if it could be EPA compliant.
Yeah, I think Councilwoman Crate may elaborate further, but she chairs a Public Works Committee that has been talking about this, so I don't want to steal your thunder.
Essentially it goes back to the environmental issue, and we've looked at 3 different types of truck washes that we think might work for us, and our DPW head, Ken Mathis, is looking further into what would work best. But essentially there's 3 different types. There's just an outdoor pad like you're kind of talking about that you could drive the truck up onto and use it, and it would collect and recycle the water. The problem with the outdoor pads is that it's outdoors, so in the middle of winter when you're trying to wash the trucks, it makes it a bit inconvenient. And it's no fun during the summer, freezing, believe yes. me. I did it in the summer.
There's a completely indoor built one that we could have, which would obviously be good, but it costs more money. And then the one that we're looking into really is it's a semi-enclosed system so that the drives could truck in. It's covered, the truck's on a conveyor belt, and it collects all of the solids, because that's really what we're talking about. What's coming off the truck when you're cleaning the truck.
What is the price range from lowest to highest? Do you have any idea, or?
The range, the lowest is around $130,000, and the highest goes up to a little over $400,000.
Wow.
But when we're paying out money per year, or for every 2 years for a contract, and the services are not, they're reliable, but they're not as reliable as having our own system, it would pay for itself. I forget what we said, how quickly. It would pay for itself pretty. We were going to calculate the return on investment after, because the council has authorized us to go back out to bid to get a vendor while we went through the process of getting prices together. And we would like to see what the prices come in at, and then we could calculate the return on investment.
Okay, I didn't know how much the price range was.
I'll give you all the research on that on last year.
Thank you for that, Councilman Craig. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can give you all the research on that, Lisa, if you want. For I did last year. It's about $500,000 for a decent one.
Anyone else from public on the bill resolution? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain CME, yes to the rest.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Manual bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $1,679,777.48.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
I guess motion by Councilman Fosman, seconded by Councilwoman Pontorero. Open to council for comments on the manual bill resolution. Seeing none, close council. Open to public on the manual bill resolution. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontorero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Right, we are now at public comment. Madam Clerk.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you. Who would like to speak? Yes, sir, in the back. Gentleman with the one whose hand is still up. Come forward.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jared Kabi, 802 Blenheim Drive, Herbertsville section. Thank you for this opportunity, this venue for the average citizen to speak. I didn't plan to come here tonight, but I got an emergency call on my cell phone for the school system because what you said, Mayor, what happened today, but also what happened past Saturday.
were two incidents this week that brought me about to come out tonight. I moved to Brick about 25 years ago. Came up from North Jersey, grew up the school system in New York City, Jersey City, Newark. A lot of positive experience, but also you become callous to criminal activity as well as violence. And what happened today and Saturday, the two shootings that happened this week, gave me some concern. Because I saw Daniel, the kids here, and a different nonprofit doing good things for Brick. But none of this thing could happen unless they have a nurturing environment and a safe environment. My concern was 25 years ago, Brick was considered one of the safest cities in the United States. And it's turned the past 5 years, I've seen some incidents has happened. So my question, and also what happened today, what happened Saturday, shooting, my initial reactions, my kids were concerned. Grow up in Jersey City, I would tell my kids, just suck it up. But no, I don't want to tell my kids that. I don't want my kids and the people of Brick to be used to this kind of incident. Shooting this past 2 weeks, to me, is like a turning point. So it's good to hear what Mayor just said. You plan to pursue this, but I hope you have the tenacity and the manpower to pursue this and catch this, whatever criminal elements involved. But also, I want to know from you, all of you, what happened? Why you guys fell asleep? This kind of incident doesn't happen overnight. There's certain conditions and elements that has to come into play. We have 2 shootings in 1 week. Now, I implore you guys, ladies and gentlemen, do something. Not just attack what happened today, what's happening in Brick. I don't want to grow up, I don't want kids like Daniel and citizen nonprofit here to become used to this kind of incident, violence, and shooting. I know we're in the surrounding towns that kind of maybe contribute to that factor, but I want the people of Brick to not get used to the kind of incident. I want them to be concerned. I was hoping more people would come up here today and raise this issue to all of you, that it's not acceptable. To me, it's not acceptable. If you can't do your job, let me do your job. It's a concern for me, not because just from a pure quality of life. It's going to hit our pockets. We keep having this incident. This is national news. I was driving home, 101.5, Brick was on the news. Not for a positive sense, a negative sense. It's going to hit our tax base. People is going to move out. It's going to decrease our property. And when that happens, certain elements come in here that's not quite positive type people. Meaning the community will go down. We won't have this nonprofit people, the good people in nonprofit that's doing good works in Brick. We permit this to keep going on and on. I've been noticed the past 10 years. I've seen it just driving around the city. I also had coached many teams in Brick, and I've seen certain things are kind of not going a positive way. So I ask you, the council, what are you guys planning to do besides addressing what happened today? What other things do you plan to do to make sure it doesn't happen, continue in a downward spiral, what I see from on the outside? Ask the council, what are you guys planning to do about this? I'd like to reassure my kids and their friends, you guys are doing something.
Well, sir, I'm on the Public Safety Committee, and on there, we, with the police, created 2 more districts, and we did hire more police officers to cover those districts. So that added more officers out there, because every district is 24 hours. So it's at least 6 more officers that were hired to go in those districts.
That's a good step.
That is. It's been helping out. We have a neighborhood watch. People call up all the time, and we encourage people to call up when they see stuff.
But is there like a special, is there like a task force?
I live right by Brick Memorial.
Excuse me?
I live right by Brick Memorial.
I live by there too, but is there
as soon
other
as I
things you
got
guys
the
are
phone call,
doing?
I was out there.
I've seen things in certain condition in Brick happening not in a good way. Are you guys investigating that? What's going on? Again, we were #1 10 years ago. Safest city, over 75,000 people. We're nowhere close to that. The recent survey this past year, we're number 145 safest town in New Jersey. That's a big drop. Something's happening. You guys, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. You have to do something. Or else the tax base is going to go down. So another thing, Mayor, you mentioned about you guys are doing something. Could you guys go out to the school, assure the children, listen, we're doing something, give them some assurance that you guys are doing something. Because right now, the perception is bad. Like you said, there's going to be councils at the town. But again, it's a traumatic experience for the kids. Grow up in Jersey City, I say, suck it up. But no, I don't want the kids to be used to this kind of environment.
Do something.
I don't agree with having to suck it up in Jersey City, but you definitely don't have to suck it up here in Brick Township.
Correct.
Our men and women of our police department will catch this person. We have
Yes.
the most police officers that we had in the history of Brick. We have a number of services as far as the opioid epidemic that we can go into and spend a lot of time talking about. It's making all these changes. Yeah, can I speak, please?
Sure.
We have our code enforcement that are out there going after these property owners. We hired retired police officers because we didn't think maybe our code enforcement were not strong enough. So we hired retired police officers to go after these toughest things and these property matters because we don't want to see anything escalating up to a level that it has escalated up to. But our police department is out there. They're out there every single day. Our neighborhood watch people and commanders are out there every single day, and we're going to continue to be out there every single day because that's what we're doing. We're protecting our great town of Brick. And whoever wants to come in here, these guys want to come into our town, they come into our town, they're leaving out if they're going to behave like this, they're leaving here in handcuffs, and they're going to be down in Ocean County Jail, probably out in state prison. And that's what I want to see done, and that's what should continue to do, and that's what our great men and women of this police department have done for many, many years.
Good to hear that, Mayor, and I hope you continue that. Continue that fight. I'll be behind your back.
Sounds good. Well, we all got to do it together.
Yes,
us Brick residents all have to stick together and get this element out, and we're going to be back to being the safest place.
That's what I'm saying. People like me, if I don't see it, I don't want to take, because I got to take it in my own hands. I don't want to do that. I want you guys to do your job. That's all I ask.
That's what we're doing. That's what we do every single day. We worry. What I do as mayor is I got to worry about the safety of every single resident. Doesn't matter if they're 1 year old, doesn't matter if they're 103 years old. I got every single person on my conscience every single day to keep them safe.
Right.
And that's what my job is to do. One of my jobs is to keep them safe every single day. That's why we give the police what they need for resources. That's what we need to get them their equipment. That's why we give them the men and women that they need. It's why we did a whole new schedule so we have more police officers on the street instead of in the office. That's why we worked with the unions to change contracts to allow special police officers to be here at court security and to be back there booking the bad guys so the real cops can be out on the street getting things like this done and stopping things from occurring.
Good to hear
a number of things that we've done.
And hope you can make that to the children, the township and the school. Hope that message gets across. They need that right now.
I hope so too. I was at both high schools this past week. I went Wednesday and Thursday, one day to Brick Memorial, one day to Brick High School. I do that every single month to go out there, and I get these questions from kids. I get these questions from kids who say, Mayor, I'm nervous when I come to school. I'm nervous. I see what happens in Dallas, Texas. I see what happens in New Orleans. I see what happens in Pittsburgh in a synagogue. I get these questions from kids, and I have to think about it every single day and do what I can do and give the resources to these men and women of this brave police department to do what they have to do.
I'll be behind you, Mayor, so let me know.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you all.
Thank you. Mr. Foster.
Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive. I was going to talk about this subject anyway, but since the mayor brought this up, first of all, to me it's laughable, Mayor, that the mayor's going to sit there and talk about how you have police in this room so that people can be safe, because I was assaulted last year, as you all know, and yes, there's Mr. Starkey leaning back saying, oh my God, here we go again. Yeah, here we go again. By a former Brick police officer in front of a special police officer right in the back of the room. I was leaving the room. Shake your head all you want to, Mr. Starkey, doesn't matter. And that was witnessed by Mayor Ducey, the council president, DeYoung, and Vinny, the special police officer. The former cop was not arrested. You know who he is. You still won't arrest him. And the mayor's going on and on about how the police do their job and they were going to track down this person that did the shooting. I don't have any confidence in it. You know who my assailant was last year. He's still out there, still unaccounted for. I go to the police to complain about former police or current active duty police. They don't want to hear it. That internal affairs department that you've got, it is not involved in investigating police. They cover up for the police. That's the way they're doing now. And when Ed Waldham was in charge of it, and I complained about Frank Field Jr., a detective who was found guilty. Excuse me. Here we go again. Melanie Briggs. Now, I don't want a commentary about...
Mr. Foster, I'd caution you if that microphone doesn't protect you when you talk about individual employees. That is a violation of the rights. Do not. I've told you this before.
Who is it that I'm talking about?
You are not permitted to speak about it. You mentioned 3 employees. You're not authorized.
Yes, excuse me. I'm being interrupted here. After the...
Ms. Brick,
Again.
please stop interrupting Mr. Foster.
She said, she said, oh my God. She said, oh my God. Here we go again. I heard her. She's sitting right next to me. Council President Septic, isn't this?
Mr. Foster, please continue with
Yes.
your remarks.
You
Please
made a point about this, and you know it's the same thing. Okay, I'm going to continue my point. First of all, Mr. Starkey, I'm talking about police department, and I have the right to talk about what happened, especially since that issue was in the courts. Judge Peterson had made a ruling that what Frank Field Jr., Detective Field, did when he was a police officer, yes, and now you're looking at the clock because I was interrupted, and you're trying to censor me, right? Yes, you are. Now, as I was saying, Judge Peterson made a legal ruling that Frank Field Jr., when he was a detective, President Zapsik.
Please direct your comments here,
Yeah.
Mr. Foster.
I'm serious. Well, I don't need this when I'm talking. This is interfering with my freedom of speech. Now, as I was saying, Mr. Starkey, you know, because you have the transcript from that courtroom appearance held by the Gilmore and Monahan law firm, Judge Peterson made the legal ruling that it was Detective Frank Field Jr. that falsified evidence against me and falsely arrested me twice. Now, if you want to have this conversation in front of a judge, I'm fine with that. Now, as I was saying, if you're going to sit there and talk about crime in town, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to address this to Council President, I feel that the people in this room, including some members of the audience, that refuse to obey the law, you have some responsibility in giving it the appearance that Brick Township is a lawless town. We don't have a police department that is doing their job, and they're certainly, based upon Judge Peterson's legal ruling, Mr. Starkey, they're not honest. Well, look at this. Council President Sapsik, look at this. What is she doing right now? She's shaking her head.
I'm looking at you, Mr. Foster.
Well, she's sitting right next to me. You can't see this?
Please direct your comments
This is the comment. When you started the meeting, you said about proper conduct. What is this going on here? Now, as I was saying, Mr. Starkey, you can get all banana shaped that you want. I know that there's an election, I'd say about 2 weeks away. But I don't care. Don't caution me about these people being private citizens. First of all, they're not. They're members of the police department, which means they're government officials, and you know as well as I do, there are different laws that apply. And what I said was addressed by the courts. And don't make faces. You're a lawyer. You should understand this. Just like your law partner, Mr. Kinley, who witnessed being assaulted last year by a former Brick cop, whose name I did not mention because that is not yet in the courts, and thanks to your crooked cops in town, probably will not be. And yeah, go ahead, keep looking at the clock. You want to be a smartass with me? Chart in the courtroom. What do you think of that? Well, any answer?
Yes, sir.
Bob Carpenteris from Iron Court. What the gentleman before Mr. Foster said about, you know, how concerned we are of what happened with these shootings. Of course, it's no one's fault, and thank you to the mayor and the council for the work they're doing. We're proud to have you, and of course, we're going to vote for you again. You're doing all you can, but I mean, Bricktown has like 73,000 people, so you're going to have some criminals, and the issue is guns, the proliferation of guns. Like, people are talking about illegals and how we don't want to put them through college. I mean, if we do put them through college, they'll get a job and then they're going to pay taxes. So nothing wrong with that. But people are talking about illegals, and we're never talking about guns. The state of New Jersey has this, Governor Murphy signed an executive order to not do business with the gun manufacturers that are not careful of following the law. Now, these guns, even if these kids that did the shooting today and the other day, even if their guns were illegal, they were legal once. So the gun came out of the manufacturer, it was sold, and whoever had it either passed it on illegally or
someone stole from him or he lost it or whatever. So all these guns are legal. There's no such thing as illegal guns. So we have to cut the source, the gun manufacturers. So let's hurt them where it hurts. Let's hit them where it hurts, their pocket. These gun manufacturers are making millions while more than 40,000 Americans were killed this year, were shot to death by guns. We're worrying about illegal aliens, like Mr. Fosman there. I mean, you're doing a great job too, but it's just, I mean, this is a great council, and it will be hard for you to run against them. And I'm happy they're, you know,
remember
running
back
again.
in 2012, Bob, when I voted for all that stuff too.
Well, you were a Democrat then.
What's the difference? I still put the right stuff up there.
And you know, those brochures that you're sending out, you're saying that, you know, about the sanctuary state. It's like, what do they have to do about the sanctuary state? They voted against it. I wish you hadn't, but you did, and I understand why, because it's Brick Township, and Brick Township is not as liberal as it should be. But, I mean, you know, you're bringing up sanctuary state. It's like...
I didn't. The governor did. The governor made us a sanctuary state.
You're not running against the governor. You're running against the mayor, where he...
and I don't think Brick Township should be a sanctuary town. I don't think we should.
Well, we're not. I mean, it wouldn't have made a difference if we were. We might have even been safer. But it doesn't make a difference to us. If you want to keep the town
illegal
safe,
guns, illegal people, both illegal.
Who?
Guns and illegal immigrants. They're both illegal here.
Yeah, but
right?
guns...
Stolen guns illegal,
yeah,
right?
But, see,
what if they use that?
Guns enable people to be criminals. Now, if we didn't have guns, these two people both of these victims got injured. They're going to the hospital, we'll be paying for the taxpayers, because I bet you these kids don't have health insurance. But nobody thinks of this. The gun manufacturers are pocketing all the profits while we're paying for the injuries that they cause. Why do people not think like this? You know, I mean, I'm from Europe. I was just in Europe this past month. You feel safe walking the streets. You don't worry about someone shooting up a movie theater. That just doesn't happen. Not like it happens here. I mean, it happened 2015, but it just doesn't happen. You know, this is. So let's
remember, Bob. I voted to increase the police station from 125 to 142. I believe we have now. You know, I did vote for that.
We all did.
You know, you can't imprison your way to safety. We have 25% of the prisoners of the whole world, while we're only 5% of the population of the whole world of the whole world. So if imprisoning people was the solution, like, you know, these two criminals, I'm sure that our police is going to catch them, but what good will that do? There's going to be a lot more after them. Big pharma and gun manufacturers. Those are the ones who should fight, not illegals. I mean, illegals are people. You know, let's help them. Thank you.
Ms. Jones.
Roxanne Jones of Laurelton Plaza Apartments and the Laurelton section of Brick. First of all, I'd like to say that, yes, we were on point with this talk about domestic violence. It's very important. I've had family members that have gone through that terrible thing. Second, I was shocked, very shocked, when my friend, Ms. Leah Palmer-Lee, told me on the way here about that terrible incident at the Herbertsville High School. Now, I really am very saddened that a place that I grew up in, Ocean County, has unfortunately seen this type of violence. And I'm glad to see the mayor makes a very strong statement about getting the perpetrators. They're not sure how many people they were?
They're still investigating. The prosecutor's office is in charge of the investigation. He's going to be doing a release at some point when they're done doing their work. Yep.
I see. And also I'd like to say that as far as why these crimes occur and how much an impact guns have, of course a gun was used, and question will probably come up, can we do more about guns? Well, we'll just have to go and look at all the facts as to why this crime occurred before we can accurately answer all those questions. And finally, I believe that there is room to fight this kind of violence and appropriately attack illegal, and I want to emphasize this, illegal immigration. It's against the law. I don't think that we should condone it. Thank you.
Mr. Finelli?
I'm going to change the subject. Vic Finelli. I have a clarification question for Vice President. You are a union president for the Jackson School Teachers Association?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know that. I'm surprised I didn't know that. And a couple other people that know everything about Brick didn't know about it either.
Wasn't keeping it a secret.
Oh, well, I tell you what, Mr. Scott didn't know it, and he knows everything about what's going on in the world. The past school board president didn't know it either.
Apparently not everything.
Here's my concern. Number one, you vote on union contracts here, or do you abstain when there's union contracts being negotiated? I mean,
I just took this
you make union contracts, you give out pay raises. My question is, as a union president, do you vote on those contracts, or do you abstain?
We haven't voted on any since I've been president, so I just became president in September.
September?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just happened.
Just happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was elected in May, but I took the role over September 1st. So.
Okay. I didn't know that. Thank you for clarifying.
No problem.
So now you could answer the question. If the situation arises, do you abstain or do you vote?
I'll take that. There's just because you're a member of a union doesn't mean you can't vote on the contract. You obviously couldn't vote if Ms. Crate was a member of a union here in town and that was contract up. She obviously couldn't vote on it, but just simply because she's a union member doesn't preclude her from voting on all union matters.
The difference between being a union member and being a union president?
Not legally, it's not. No, sir. Not when the union is not a union here in Brick. It does not bar her whether she's the president, secretary, or just a member of the union. Same analysis.
Okay. So I had a question about you being the interface with the school board too, but since you just became president, I'll let that one slide. I guess congratulations. I'm not sure.
Or
maybe it's one of those, be careful what you ask for because you might get it. And then I read the whole story about your superintendent leaving.
Yes.
I just wanted to remind everybody, this is a election year, and we're already starting to see signs all over the township, and I'm already seeing signs in places where they shouldn't be in the township, like the little islands on the roads and whatnot. And I brought this up before, and if you remember correctly, and he might not even remember, the mayor gave me permission to take them down at one time, which I'm not going to go all over town and do that. But I just want you to remind the people, I know you don't put your own signs out, you give them out, but you need to instruct people as to where they can put them. I think the rule is they can only go on private property, not on street corners, not on little islands in the roads, not on parks. Last year we had, or last time there was election, they were all over the park system and whatnot. Mayor, I never saw you get so excited.
It's a terrible, terrible day.
It's not been a good year for you know, Brick as far as being things, and I know you talked about the domestic things, you know, to do. I noticed yesterday we had a cab driver in Brick held up, woman cab driver held up with a knife, and I'm not going to talk about guns. I'll do you all a favor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Sluka.
Good evening, John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I'm going to read my letter dated October 15th to Mayor Ducey, Council President, and the council members. Although the lobbyists and big government bureaucracies have the ears of the federal to local politicians, the governing bodies that have elected the people, been elected by the people, are supposed to act for the people's best interest. Big business benefactors pour money into political parties locally, statewide, and nationally, but government officials should stay true to their oaths and act for the people. The bureaucratic swamp that is ingrained in local, county, state, and federal government push their agendas of spending taxpayer money for their own benefit. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority's commissioners are examples of those in the swamp. They surround all politicians and push their programs. We citizens hope and pray that you, our elected officials, do not take the word of lobbyists and benefactors of the NJTA, but rather examine and analyze the data for yourselves. Thousands of studies have concluded or confirmed that living near major highways is detriment to one's health. The actions of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority commissions have been causing COPD, asthma, autism, heart problems, and premature deaths to our residents, and now the citizens need our elected officials to stand with them and demand corrective actions by the NJTA commissioners, and and take legal action if no corrective actions are forthcoming. A 14-foot noise pollution safety wall, along with shrubs and trees that have substantial density and height, are needed in many areas of Brick Township, including Evergreen Woods, Town Hall, Brick High School, Greenbrier, Briar Mill, Brick American Field, Birchwood Park, Lanes Mill School, and other areas where the toxins are harming our seniors, our school children, in fact, every worker and resident of Brick. The longer you wait to take legal action, the more people who will live and work in Brick and Ocean County, Brick and Ocean County will be harmed because the Commission's actions of destroying the environment surrounding the Garden State Parkway. People like to bury their hands in the sand when it comes to controversial subject matters, but we all must open our eyes. The ill effects of toxins can't be seen in local studies until well past the time when the detrimental impacts have befallen the citizens of the area. We can wait 10 years or so for more people to develop lung and heart ailments and suffer through poor health and early deaths, and then we'll be able to see the results in local studies, or we can be more proactive and judge our area by studies from states like New York, California, Florida, or countries like Canada, China, and France. We can believe the thousands of studies from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, the Nurses Group, medical journals, American Lung Association, World Health Organization, Time Health, and thousands of other places here in America and around the world that expose the health impacts of noise and toxin perils of the major highways, or we can believe the lobbyists from the swamp. Truly the time for action is now. Save the citizens of Brick and Ocean County. Also, let me take a couple seconds here just to mention once again that it's election time, how I hate political parties. Although the Constitution says nothing about political parties, George Washington warned us all about the baneful effects of the spirit of the party. Political parties in government is seen in the greatest rankness and is truly its own worst enemy. The continual mischief of the spirit of party are sufficient to make it the interest and the duty of wise people to discourage and restrain it. That's what George Washington said. We should not have them here in Brick and Ocean County. These party affiliations only serve to distract the public councils and drain the public administration. It agitates the community with ill-founded jealousies and false alarms, kindles the animosity of one part against another part, and foments occasional insurrection as well. Let's dump the political party system here in Brick and elect our representatives individually on what they can do or are doing for the common citizen of the community. The only real significance I feel from political parties is to clutter in my garbage cans with this unreadable junk that I get every election cycle. Thank you for your time. One other thing, I'm not sure if it's a school board or you guys. The kids today sat on the bus for an hour and 10 minutes. I can't understand how that was a lockdown in the middle school.
Anybody who was on a bus, the bus had to sit there, and the kids stayed on the buses. That couldn't have been safety. Okay, thanks for your time, and sorry for the extra 5 seconds.
Anyone else from public? Mrs. Briggs?
Apparently someone has a personal problem with me. Maybe they're afraid of me. I don't know. But I will not allow anyone to come up here and repeat lies, make up stories, and have people believing it. Just like the incident last year. Haven't heard the other side of the story, have we? Nobody heard what started that process. But I could stand here and sound pathetic like some people, but I'm not going to. And I'm not going to address the particular things. But I want it known that they were lies. There was no truth to what was stated by two people approximately a month ago. And I left here very upset. And I thought, as an employee, I can't defend myself. And then I thought, no, as an employee, I can. Ms. Bergen did it in January. So if it's okay for the business administrator, I guess it's okay for a little clerk like me. I will not sit quietly while someone tells lies about me. And I will not allow you to allow him to make me look like a fool. It will not happen again. Thank you.
Mr. Foster, if your comment is a rebuttal to Ms. Briggs, it's inappropriate. That conversation is over. But if you have something else to say, please come forward.
No, I'm going to address your comment. You're at the position here. When I brought it to your attention about what was going on behind me, you should have done something about it. Instead, the police officer had to come over here and tell Ms. Briggs to stop. So, and this is what happens during the council meetings. They get out of control. It's been going on for years. And you, what really makes me mad is because Council President Sapsik, you made an announcement before the thing goes.
And I used the gavel.
Yeah.
And I used the gavel. That's what I have.
I know. And before that, I wasn't at the meeting, but I think it was the meeting you had on Monday, I think it was. Not, yeah, I think it was 2 weeks ago, the last council meeting. I didn't attend it because it was on Monday. And you did mention that there was a brochure back there and people to read it. And I saw you looking at Ms. Briggs and said, read it. And so you have to get control of the meetings. I mean, that's just it. It's been going on for years. Like I said, it happened last year with the Councilman Young. I am going to mention something about what happened last year, and I do feel that this is appropriate since it's a legal issue. You can correct me if you're wrong. But this talk about, we've heard from only heard one side of the story about what happened last year. She was talking about me being assaulted by a police officer. Mayor Ducey was here. Councilman Fosman had to go back there and tackle my assailant to pin him to the floor because Vinny would not.
That's
what happened.
That is not what happened.
Councilman Mummel and I went back there.
Yeah, and there was pinned to the floor. Okay, he was on the floor. I'll put it that way. He was on the floor. Councilman Fosman, I stand corrected. He was on the floor, and you're pinning him down. And the township employee had to come in. First of all, I have the police report. And it says that a township employee had to come in here. And there was two or three people back there that had the guy down in front of a police officer. He did nothing. But anyway, this talk about how there's two sides of every story. If that former cop wants to come in here, that's his business. But the issue is he's already given a statement to the police. He admitted what he did. And his identity is well known. And this is why I have a problem with what's going on in town. When someone is assaulted and the assailant is not even stopped by the police who are in the room, and this is why I tried to make the point with Mayor Ducey before Councilman Starkey came to his rescue, then there should be an arrest. I don't care who it is. And all I heard was Internal Affairs was, oh, he's not authorized because he's a Class 2 special police officer. Then what is he doing in the room? Now, that's the point that I have here. Now, if that former cop wants to come in here, first of all, his opinion doesn't really matter because he's already given his statement to the police. But this, you have to get control of the meetings. They're out of control. People's safety are in jeopardy here. And you're not doing it.
And this is one reason why we have so much arguments going on in town in the council meetings, and I said this to someone earlier tonight when I met them at a restaurant. This is why we don't have problems getting addressed in town, like the Traders Cove and Food Town site, and the people going through the issue with the Adamston Road issue. We spend all this time arguing, and the meetings degenerate and turn into, as I described it, a dumpster fire, and it's your fault. We've got the township attorney over there lying, flat out lying, telling me that I'm not protected about what I say about people when I mentioned was 2 police officers' conduct when they were government employees. And there you go, looking at the clock again, Mr. Starkey. You're not going to shut me up. My last statement is going to, my last words that I have is going to be in a courtroom. Then you can be a snickering, smirking little smart ass if you want to. And if you want to throw me out of council meeting, that's fine with me. But I'm telling you, he's in charge of, he's supposed to be giving me legal advice, not sitting there protecting people.
That language
That's
will
it.
not be tolerated.
Okay, if you think that was out of line, fine. But I'm just letting you know, we have a township attorney here, and when this kind of conduct goes on during the council meeting, when I'm assaulted in front of a police officer who did not do anything because my assailant was his friend, a former police officer, and when we have a township attorney sitting there and making comments that are wrong, which has no business for giving me any advice anyway, then this is why we have problems in town and in these council meetings. You have to get your act together. That goes for all of you. Not just the council presidents like Zapsik, Council President Zapsik, and last year Councilwoman DeYoung, but Councilman Holler and Councilman Mummel screaming at people, shouting people down. There's no excuse for it. There's no respect for citizens' legal rights, and I'm tired of it. Get your act together.
Anyone else from public? Seeing none, close public. You're at council comments. Mrs. Bergen. Mayor Ducey.
Just briefly, just the one gentleman who came up when I was discussing the issue of today. I was raising my voice definitely, but that was not at you by any means. You're giving me the thumbs up. I just want to apologize. It's the issue that really got me fired up. As you can see, there's a lot of people come up and say things and kind of don't react, but that issue is definitely something we need to be fired up. We need to protect our kids. Thanks. Sorry.
Mr. Starkey. Madam Clerk?
Yes, hi. I did want to just remind everyone that Tuesday, November 5th, from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m., our polls are open for the general election.
Thank you. Madam Secretary?
No comment.
Councilman Fosman?
Yes, I have a few things. Before I begin my comments, I received an email about paycheck stubs and what's going on with the employee paycheck stubs. Now, I called the council secretary. She says that I have to report in if I have my check deposited electronically, that I have to call in every 2 weeks in order to get a PDF sent to my house, in order so I can know what deductions and like hours were sent. And why are let's see here, why are those who receive direct deposit from other paid forces to call in each pay period for a payroll department or email them if they want a PDF copy? Would that happen every 2 weeks?
No, you just, so the first, because it's a brand new system we're switching over to, so the first pay period you'd have to call in for, and then the follow-up, then you're on a permanent list, and then you'll get it automatically emailed to you every time. You just have to, you're going to have to email. I didn't know anybody was calling, but I think everybody was just emailing. Just email, and then you'll get a copy of your PDF. But then 2 weeks later, when the next pay period comes out, you have to email that one last time, because that's when the whole system shifts over, and then you'll permanently get them emailed to you.
Okay. What prompted this change in the policy?
Yeah, it just saves money. You don't have the paperwork. You don't have people. A lot of people don't even open them. They just throw them away. It's saving trees. It's saving money. Now, if you do want them, like a lot of people, you still need them for some things. Like if you're applying for a mortgage or a credit card, something, you need them. So usually most people would just then contact HR and say, oh, can you print out the last 3 or last 5? So then we're printing them out again. But now you have the ability to have them all right there. And if you don't want the clutter in your email box, you don't have to get them. So it's just money saving.
So if you don't have direct deposit, you're just going to get a stub with your check every time then?
No, if you don't have direct deposit, you'll get a check.
You'll get a check with your stub, your withdrawals on your FICA and everything. Your
Yeah,
pension,
yeah,
just like you
payroll
normally
check.
get a regular check with that, right? If you don't have direct deposit. So you get all the information just like normal. If you don't have direct deposit.
Yeah, if you're not with,
Right.
you know, the direct deposit and doing, you know, with kind of, if you're still in a paper environment, yes, you still
Yeah.
get the paper, yes, yes.
Okay. So if nobody has the means of a printer or anything like that, they would still have to do it the old way, just get a check in the mail, or they'd pick up their check, right? They would have to decide that for themselves.
Everybody has a choice to get direct deposit or to get a paper check. Yeah, we don't force anybody into direct deposit. We do allow the option because there are some people who've been, you know, been here for a number of years who don't like the direct deposit.
Because I got a little mixed up stories there. Okay, now I just want to talk about the volunteer EMS building on Aurora Avenue. What's going on with the building at Aurora Avenue? I hear some things going on. Is it true that the township wants to buy the building?
The building that was used to be used by the Brick Township
Volunteer First Aid Squad.
Right, that squad is now dissolved and,
Yes.
and defunct. It doesn't operate anymore. They are now renting out the building. I haven't checked recently, but it was to a I think for a church group and for parties, so the township then, because it was no longer used for volunteer purposes, they were essentially becoming a commercial landlord. The township now imposes property taxes on that building.
So they lost their 5013 status, right?
Well, they lost tax exempt status for purposes of that property. That's right.
Property.
So we have had discussions with them, with the people who are left, because the way the process worked is the township, this is probably 40 years ago, gave that property to, it was actually then the fire department for $1. It was township-owned property. We gave it to them for $1.
And the EMS volunteers worked out.
And it then went to the EMS, but there was a clause when and there always is, whenever the township gives away property to a volunteer organization like that for $1, there's a clause that says if it's no longer used for volunteer purposes, that the property then reverts back to the township. So we have made a request for that property, since it is now becoming effectively commercial, for it to revert back to the township. And right now we're having discussions over that. That has not happened yet.
There's not a lawsuit now, is there? I mean, we're not suing them, are we?
We are not suing
We're
them.
only in discussions?
Correct. No, there's no lawsuit.
And just, you know, is it true the administration wants the senior services to be moved there? From the VFW building?
There have been discussions.
Once the township takes it over?
Well, right now, the Volunteer First Aid Squad still holds title to that. That entity still holds title to the property. The township doesn't have any options to use that for township purposes. My understanding is there are several different township purposes that would be used there if we did acquire it, including use for the township's EMS. That's one of the things that's being discussed. I don't think there have been any final decisions made because we don't own that property. So really, it's premature to make that kind of decision.
I'm just here, this is what I hear, and I'm asking the administration right now.
Right. I'm trying to give answers.
Yeah. Are you moving the senior services in there once the building is township property?
We don't own that property. That property is owned by the First Aid Squad.
Have you discussed it? About senior services moving in there?
No.
That's what I'm asking you.
No. The only discussions have been whether or not we are going to get the property back from the former First Aid Squad. And so far, we don't have it back. It's being used for I don't know what purposes by them right now. If we did get it back, and frankly I think it would be a good thing if we did get it back so it wasn't used for commercial purposes, there are a variety of things it could be used for that have been discussed, but no decisions have been made because we don't own that property.
Right. What I was told is the hall is being rented out for private parties and meetings.
I've heard the same thing. Yes.
So I'm just trying to figure out what the town's doing. I just wanted to make sure are you in a lawsuit? You say no.
No,
We're just in discussions to retrieve the property back.
There's no lawsuit
because they lost their status. The town feels through that dollar that the town gave the fire company back in the day, that town feels they should get the property back for the same, for $1.
I think that's legally proper. I think it's fair. When the township taxpayers give property to a volunteer organization to be used for those volunteer purposes, and that includes, first aid, fire, EMS, when they no longer use it for that purpose and they got it for $1, it should come back to the taxpayers for use by the taxpayers. I mean, not to be used just for, commercial purposes by that entity that no longer really exists. There's no volunteer first aid anymore.
I'm just trying to find out, because I'm not getting much information around here lately.
Well, I'm
and
happy to
that's why I'm bringing it right to you now.
Well, I don't know what more you want.
You answered it. You answered it.
Okay.
You answered it. You're trying to get it back, that you feel that you should get it back. Now, if discussions break down, you think the town's going to go and file a suit? Do you think the town will file a suit if
Oh gosh, I hope not. I mean, I don't.
Is that what the plan is in case communication breaks down and they feel that they still own that building?
Well, they do own that building. I mean,
yeah.
But I don't think that it's fair for them to own it for commercial purposes. And frankly, I mean, they're renting out the property for private purposes. They're getting money. They're paying property taxes. It doesn't really make a lot of sense when the property was given to them for $1 for use by the first aid company. So that doesn't exist anymore. So
I don't have the contract. That's why I'm asking you. For $1 and the town gets it back if it's not
it wasn't
used for its original purpose of selling it.
You're right. It wasn't a contract. It was a decision made by the governing body then that Township owned land would be given for $1 for free to the volunteer organization for use as a volunteer organization. It's not being used for volunteer purposes anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now my council comments. Thank you. Thank you, Daniel, the young man, for his him raising so much money for the cancer. He did a really fine job, and I really he should be proud of himself. Congratulations to the students of the month. Thank you to Providence House and Dottie's House for your important contributions to our community. Thank you to my good friend for over 30 years, former New Jersey Superior Court Judge and current Professor Larry Jones. I knew Larry Jones for a long time, him and his wife, and very great, a very nice guy. You know, he used to be a referee for boxing a long time ago. Congratulations to the CDBG check recipients. I voted no on the budget this year because we as the council have the power to change the budget to a zero rate for relief to the taxpayers of Brick. By using a portion of the money that was earmarked to repay the $5 million federal loan the town borrowed when Superstorm Sandy hit, this could have been accomplished. I introduced an anti-sanctuary state resolution to this Democratic Council President and her Democratic Council, and they rejected it, only to plagiarize my resolution and introduce a watered-down version. My resolution states, whereas the governing body of the Township of Brick urges Governor Phil Murphy and the Attorney General Grewal to repeal the sanctuary state directive and reverse their position with regard to New Jersey becoming a sanctuary state immediately. The council president, her council, and the mayor watered down the version of my resolution. States the council urges the governor on the state legislation to reevaluate, not repeal, reevaluate their position with regard to New Jersey becoming a sanctuary state. I brought forth a resolution another resolution to the Democratic Council President and her Democratic Council. The resolution opposes Assembly Bill A 3851, which impacts common interest communities. It is the companion bill to Senate Bill S 2425, which had already passed in the Senate. They refused to vote on it Then they plagiarized my resolution and introduced it 2 weeks later as their own. I introduced another resolution. I introduced a resolution opposing Bill A-1738, known as the New Jersey Safe and Responsible Driver Act, which proposes to make modifications to the laws of the State Motor Vehicle Commission. Specifically, it would allow illegal New Jersey residents to obtain driver's license. The Democratic Council President and her Democratic Council refused to vote on it. They brought up discussion at the next council meeting regarding a similar bill, which was A-4743, which should also be opposed. This limits the police from doing their job and puts everyone's safety at risk. Well, let's see here. Traders Cove was illegally dredged, and the sludge was illegally dumped behind Town Hall and the Public Works without permits. $1 million was stolen from Brick taxpayers by the township employee, who is the daughter of the former Mayor Scarpelli. The township has refused to go after the money, and therefore we, the taxpayers, suffer. Administration prefers the state collect the money, and also the money, and so far only $5,000 was received. 2-hour no parking signs were put up at Traders Cove playground without the ordinance being passed. You know, the solar field was a bad deal, and I voted no on that. At the time, Mayor Ducey sat up here on this dais as a councilman along with me, and he voted yes for the bad $34 million solar field debt, which our taxpayers are still responsible for that debt. Seriously, who gives a loan to a company that can't get a loan from a bank? And on one of his Facebook Live, a resident asked him about it, and he stated that it wasn't a good deal and that the town is paying for overpriced electric. I want to talk about the Food Town site. The closing of this property hasn't taken place yet, so when it does, the money cannot go into the budget for 2 years. I want to remind you that I spearheaded the Neighborhood Watch program, which is one of the most effective ways our residents and police can communicate. I also fought for free senior busing back in 2014 when it was unpopular with council committee members. Traders Cove, I voted yes to complete that project because it was the right thing to do. Otherwise, it would have been an eyesore. When I was the chair of the Business and Finance Committee, I researched and restructured the rental fees there. You know, it's funny, when the Democratic Mayor Ducey served council, he voted no on the completion of Traders Cove, but now he states it's the jewel of the bay. I helped restructure the building department fees, which had been losing $800,000 a year and now sustain itself. Before any of the Democratic candidates up here were even served on the council, I kept my campaign promises and started rebuilding our parks. And by the year 2013, the money for the first park was dedicated. You know, I served as a Brick MUA volunteer commissioner for 5 years, making sure there were 0 rate increases for each of those years. I am a former Brick small business owner who kept my promises to my customers, and you know, as a councilman, I keep my promises to you. I have been on Social Security disability since 2013, and everyone knows I can't earn more than $17,600 over and above the amount I receive from Social Security. Just to refresh everybody's memory, I did request to include in the capital budget for this year a truck wash installed in Public Works. So I have proposed this rather than purchasing 2 trucks. In the long run, the installation of the truck wash would have been more cost-effective and beneficial, including extending the life of the vehicles. I understand at this time the committee now is in favor of my suggestion. At the June 25th council meeting, I stated the following regarding the state school funding formula. Brick Township is being treated unfairly by an unfair school funding formula in New Jersey. Democratic Governor Murphy slashed $22 million in aid from our schools, and the school board and the Board of Education is planning to eliminate 62 positions and raise taxes by $3.8 million. Unbelievable. What happened today in Brick? I received a call at 1:30 from a resident that a shooting happened on the corner of Lanes Mill Road and New York Avenue, just a few blocks from my house. I immediately drove there to see what was going on. Our Brick police were on the scene, and they were taping off this scene with crime tape when me and my wife arrived. The injured student's mother was there as well and was looking to find her son. We were told by another parent the young man's shoulder was grazed by a bullet. I spoke with the resident from a home right there and asked her if she had a ring so we can see if they took any pictures. I brought this information to the officer's attention, and he quickly spoke with the homeowner. Some residents who had gathered reached out to me with questions and concerns. I calmed them as best as possible given the situation. About 15 minutes later, the mayor arrived, and he was escorted by foot to a command center on Boland Field across from the Brick Memorial High School. I asked if I could walk up to the command center and was advised not to by an officer. Soon after the press was on the scene to cover the story, more residents and parents gathered, concerned for their child's safety, and all talked about the escalating violence, crime in Brick Township. We as citizens need to be aware of our surroundings. And as we say in the Neighborhood Watch meeting, if you see something, say something. A huge thank you to our Brick Police Department, as well as the Ocean County Sheriff's Department, the New Jersey State Police, and to the Toms River and Lakewood Police Departments for their assistance. They really did a great job, and they were all out there, and we needed the help. Please be safe, everyone. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, we see a juxtaposition between the very best that our town has to offer by way of the selfless individuals who operate the recipients of the CDBG grants, such as Providence House, such as Dottie's House, such as Visitation Church, such as Oceans Harbor House. And we see the wonderful, wonderful efforts of a young man in our town who's not even old enough to vote, let alone try to garner votes. It's Daniel Golombuski, who raised over $17,000 to help people like me who are battling cancer. We see those shining stars of our community as opposed to the dregs of society exemplified by the shooter or shooters of our residents of Brick, and as well as the perpetrators of domestic violence. And I think that we as a town have to make a choice to entrust our prosecutors, our police, headed by Chief Riccio, to slay the monsters who prey on the most innocent and vulnerable members of our community, our children, and to impart swift and immediate justice for our children. I'm the mother of 3 children, and my heart stopped today. But again, I think we have a choice to look toward the actions of the good members of our society and use those as an example of how we should hope to conduct ourselves or have our children conduct themselves. And it's only by focusing on the good that we can eradicate the evil, which takes the form of perpetrators of such violence, not just in Brick, but in various communities throughout the United States and really the world. I have no other comments tonight except that everyone should understand what we're here to do as council people is to conduct the business of the town, to educate the public about the goings-on of the town, and to answer questions that you may have about what's going on in the town. We're not here for political reasons. We're not here to garner votes. We're here because you elected us to be here to serve you. Thank you.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. I just have a few things. First off, of course, is a buy and brick update. Dennis Service Center, Brick Boulevard. They are giving a 7.5% rebate on auto repair and oil changes up to $50. And I just want to remind our seniors out there that the Senior Outreach Halloween Brunch will be at the VFW Senior Services Center on October 30th from 12 to 2. And please call Senior Services at 732-920-8686 to secure your reservation. And I believe the mayor has said it and conveyed what we are all feeling about today's events best. And I just want to give a heartfelt thank you to our police for bravely doing their jobs as they always do in protecting us, and for those who are part of the investigation for doing their job and for helping our town find the perpetrator and to keep Brick safe. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Mamala.
Thank you, Madam President. First off, a great job to Daniel, 11 years old. I know when he reached out to some of the council members, Vice President Creighton, Council President Zapsik helped guide. I think his mother and him reached out because they weren't sure exactly what to do because of, with Vice President Creighton's daughter doing the Kids for Canines, they guided him along. Did a great job, $17,000. Very proud. He's a great little child. Parents, I'm sure, are very proud of him. Students of the Month, as always, great job. When I was council president, I always gave him a day off, though. You know, that's it. I know they haven't got a day off. Thank you to Professor Jones and all the speakers tonight on domestic violence. It's a serious problem. It's great that we have these people in town that could support people in the state even. So it's good that way. And thank you all the CDBG, I always get that wrong, recipients. We're happy that we could get the grant monies for everybody. They do a great job for the residents of Brick, and we appreciate all their support and what they do. With regards to the money that was brought up, that was stolen, our administration found that. That was going on for years before it was found, and our administrator found it, which was very happy that she did. It's in the courts. When something like that happens, it goes to the courts. The courts decide how it gets paid back. We have no control over that, unfortunately. So it is being paid back, but it's not our control. Resolutions that get brought up, that's great. We could support them or we could oppose them. And it's a resolution that we do is for the town. It actually means really nothing. If you really are passionate about something like that, call the governor's office, complain to him. That's who's making the deals. We could support or oppose it, and he doesn't have to listen to anything we say. The incident that happened today, tragic. I'm sure our police officers, we got a great force. I know these guys very well. They're going to do a great job. They're going to get it resolved. Who knows what happened? It's all just transpiring now. And trunk or treat, we have at Drum Point Sports Complex on Friday at 6 p.m. So if children, bring them out, stand in line. There's usually always a line, but hopefully we'll see everybody out there. And thank you all for coming out.
Thank you. Councilman Halloran.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Daniel for his great work. He's quite a young man. It's great to see someone that young with such great passion for a cause as great as the cause against fighting cancer. He did a great job. He's a nice gentleman. Congratulations to the students of the month. They always do a great job. It's good to see them. We had quite a few actually attending. You know, we had a good attendance tonight. Thank you to Professor and former Judge Jones and his students who came up to speak about domestic violence. It's an important topic. Thank you to the people from Dottie's House and Providence House who really help those people in need and who are at risk and need assistance, and finally they have a place to go. And we're so lucky we have all these great organizations within the confines of our town and working for the people within our town. Thank you for all the work that you do, all the nonprofits that do all that great work. Let's see, a couple other things. Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 26th, is the Ocean Action Beach Sweep, which starts at Brick Beach 1 and cleans up the beach. Hopefully we can get a lot of volunteers out there. I know I go every year. Actually, it's twice a year we do it, and this is the fall cleanup. So hopefully you'll join me in helping clean up the beach. Okay, I'm kind of sorry that you had to be witness and listen to the pathetic display of politicking tonight. I guess when you become a Republican, you have to march to the tune of braggadocio and bloviating and misleading and just patting themselves on the back. We see it every day on TV, and I guess that comes down to even the municipal level. So I'm sorry you had to be a part of it. It doesn't belong in this chambers, but we're subject to it anyway. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Council Vice President Crate.
Yes, I just wanted to take a moment to thank the Brick Police Department for all that they did today, and all of the surrounding towns' police departments that came out to assist us during a time of need. From the moment I got that first nixle with the report that there was, there was a shooting going on near the school, I knew my son was still in the building, and at no time, as upsetting as it is, at no time did I completely fear for his safety, because I knew that our police department was there. I have been with them when they've done active shooter trainings. I know that they are well prepared for this, and as a teacher, I'm sorry to say, I know our students are well prepared for things like this too. And from everything that I've heard from talking with my son and other people, it seems that the students, to a degree, handled it very well. And they were exposed to very little. At least my son was exposed to very little, other than having to wait for a very long time to be moved from one location to the other to be picked up. So I have to say, from that moment that I got that first report to the moment when I finally got to pick him up at Veterans Memorial, I was confident that our police department had everything under control. And I do send my sympathies out to the student who did get injured. And I know that our police department will work very hard, along with Ocean County Prosecutor's Office, to find out who did this and get them. So thank you to everyone who helped out today. And even with all that being said and all that happening today, and discussions that were had here tonight, I'm going to say with all honesty, there is still no place I'd rather raise my children than this town. This is a fantastic town with a lot of great people in it who work very hard to make sure that we're safe, and we have all the great things at our fingertips. I grew up in a town that didn't have a ton of parks. I lived out in the middle of nowhere. I didn't get to do a lot of stuff. If my neighbors weren't home, I had no one to play with. We have parks in this town that our children can go to and play at safely, and they do it often, and I feel good about that, and I know that that will continue. And as a part of that good feeling about this town, I know Councilman Memolo already mentioned it, but Trunk or Treat, another great event that we host every year, is happening this Friday. And even though Councilman Memolo mentioned it, I just have to say, you've got to look for our car, because we have a car every year, and it's going to be fabulous. But I don't want to let the cat out of the bag of what the thing is, what the theme is, but it's going to be really fun. And we actually do 2 trunks because I need a lot of space because I make a lot of props. So we hope to see you out there. We'll have tons of candy. It's a really good time. There's a hayride and there's a parade, and it's really so much fun to have our community come together for something like that. So I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you. From Daniel's achievement with his fundraiser, Cast for Cancer, to our Students of the Month, to the college students who spoke so passionately about domestic violence and shared some very personal experiences, to all the social services agencies that contribute to the fabric of this community and help our residents in need. We saw the best of Brick Township in this room tonight, and I think it was something we all needed. So thank you to those who came out and to those who stayed. I've worked in substance use prevention for almost 20 years, been in and around the mental health and human services field, and in terms of what can be done, there is no magic wand. There's no one thing that works for everybody, for every young people. It's a layered approach of programs and healthy activities and places to go and things to do. Parent involvement is probably the single biggest thing, the single biggest contributor to raising a healthy, well-adjusted young person into a healthy, well-adjusted adult. And there's plenty of ways that that looks like, and plenty of opportunities for those things here in Brick Township. So one thing is to support our youth in what they do. So with that, my announcements tonight have to do with, there's a program, I'm assuming this will go on as scheduled tomorrow night at Brick Memorial High School from 6 to 7:30 on vaping. So I would encourage anyone, whether you have children or not, to come out and learn what's going on in our young people's lives, because this is a very, very big issue. And, you know, what part you may play in helping them make healthy choices about what they're doing and the substances that they're using. And then this weekend, the Brick High School Drama Club is presenting a show called A Handful of Rainbows. This flyer is pretty faded, but it's Friday and Saturday I think Fridays at 7 p.m. It looks like Saturdays at 2 and 7. And its general admission is students $8, adults $10. Please come out and support our young people and what they're doing, because it's so very important. And I have to echo what Council Vice President Crate said. I've lived in this town for 30 years. I raised my children in this town, and there's no place else that I would rather live. And then finally, I just want to kind of put a button on October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and just that we've talked about cancer in general. There's a salon on Brick Boulevard called Hair Hut. I was emailed by the mother of the owner. The owners live in Brick. The mother, Esther Jordan, emailed me. She hand makes these bracelets. You can buy them for $10, and they're a fundraiser for an organization called Kick Cancer Overboard. And what they do is they send families who've been affected by cancer on cruises to just kind of get them out of what they're in and in a different environment and enjoying themselves as a family. And I think Councilwoman Pontuero can attest at how wonderful it is. So I stopped by on Saturday and bought one. They come in all different colors and different charms on the end of it. And, you know, I would encourage anyone who's interested in a little bling to stop by and pick up a bracelet and make a contribution to a worthy cause. And that's all I have this evening. Our next council meeting will be on Wednesday, November 6th at 7 p.m. right here. Motion to adjourn. Motion. All in favor? Aye.